Big Sills. Dual threat. Dual threat. One more time. Dual threat. Anthony Richardson out 4 to 8. Dual threat. You think they're going to be able to build that franchise around Anthony Richardson? Do you think you're going to build a future around Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis? Do you really? Do you really? How many years do you project Anthony Richardson plays at a high level in Indianapolis, being a dual threat? How many years? I know Jalen's a 15-year guy in your eyes. What do you think Anthony Richardson's ceiling is for how many years he'll play? 2 to 3? Oh, my God. 2 to 3? And he's a first-round pick? Holy cow. That guy's going to have a shorter reign than that Pope that got poisoned decades ago. Are you kidding? 2 to 3? Man. Hey, that's a quality pick. Holy cow. Dual threat. Holy cow, man. Yeah, I can't wait. I cannot wait. Holy cow. He's out 4 to 8. He's the first one to go down. Oh, wait. Murray's still out. We're still young on the season, though. Okay? We're still young. You can't build your franchise around a dual threat quarterback for an extended period of time. But today's NFL, 3 years is a long time. Okay? Nobody's building a team for 10 years. At max, you're building it for 5. No matter if that's Cincinnati or if it's Philadelphia. Honestly, nobody gives a shit about 10 years from now. They care more about 10 minutes from now than 10 years from now. Okay? So, again, hey, we're going to get into a little bit and a early look at the Jets here. But before we do that, we want to get going here with our Hooters giveaway. And we've been very proud of this, and we really appreciate everybody with our great friends at Hooters that we are able to give gift certificates out each and every single day. Well, actually qualified people each and every single day. And all you have to do is email us, and Tone's going to throw a code word out throughout the 4 hours of the program. And all you have to do is email us the information, and you will win an opportunity to get yourself a gift certificate. We do this all the time. And on Monday, a football Monday, we announce our winners like Mike and Don. And all you have to do is email us when Tone throws out that word. There's the email, Dan Sileo Show at Gmail. When the code word goes out throughout the 4 hours, all you have to do, okay? All you have to do is email us your info. We'll announce the winner on Monday. Good luck to you. By the way, another packed show. The segment with our friend, Tone. Kayla Santiago from our post-game show. He's going to join us at 4:30. I can't wait to talk to her, get her thoughts on the Philadelphia Eagles, what she sees going into this Jets game. We moved Seth Joyner to tomorrow. So Seth will be with us tomorrow at 2:30. We had a great time on his show last night. My aunt watched it. She loved it. She said, you and Seth are just absolutely great together, and I really enjoy going on the program with him. So that was fun last night. He's going to make a visit with us. That'll be tomorrow at 2:30. So we will talk once again with our friend Seth Joyner. That'll be all tomorrow, and we look forward to it, along with Chris Sims, also will join us on a Thursday as we get ready for Thursday night football. I want to throw this out at you one more time here, and I want to get this out there to you about how the NFL blackballs people. You know, and again, I'm not going back over the Colin Kaepernick story. I'm not going back over to try to litigate whether it's right or wrong that he was not given an opportunity. I don't want to do that. But look what the league does to players when they don't want you in the league. Hell, even Tim Tebow, they called him an overzealous religious fanatic. Did you ever, they tried to give him an opportunity because of what Urban Meyer did in Jacksonville. But nobody really wanted that guy on a football team. You're telling me he couldn't be a third-team guy with some of the bums we have in the NFL today? Shit, Ian Book had a job. Okay, so the NFL doesn't like noise. Look what they did to Jaylen Carter. They labeled him an immature problem when he's not. He had a bad moment, a horrific moment. But look what the NFL did pre-draft. They labeled him. Look at how they label players. It's a stigma. That's not true to the kid. I do not believe that he is an immature kid. We're all immature at 20. You crazy? I'm barely mature now. He's a 20-year-old kid who made a mistake, a tragic mistake. But the NFL wants to label the guy a problem child. He lost millions of dollars because the NFL labeled him that. Put a stigma on him. Put a stigma on him. Not right. But that's what the league does. It's what the league does, man. This kid has been everything, in my opinion, that we sit here and we are just relishing watching him grow as an NFL player and also as a man. Intelligence, and I'll tell you something else. I got to give Howie credit for this, and I think we all should give Howie credit for this. He trusted the Georgia guys on the team to vouch for him. And Tracy Rocker. Howie went, okay. Okay. That's big. Howie Roseman trusts more people today than he's ever in his entire life. Because he's got a lot of decisions to make that rely on the success of that football team. He's not just a GM. He picks the coaches. He picks the players. Pretty much is involved in the type of schemes they run on both sides of the ball. And the reason for that is so he can be, get this, I don't think it's really that out of line in what he does by making sure that they have the same system on both sides of the ball. You know why? Don't you think, how about this one here? Over the last couple of years, do you not think that Howie has really hit on players in free agency, UDFAs? Because why? You're not constantly interchanging the schemes every 4 years or every 3 years when you lose a coordinator. You're playing one style of football so that you can go out and get the proper personnel to know exactly what you're looking for. I think what it does, it reduces failures in free agency. Am I right when I say that? And I think it also helps in your drafting. How many times, like here, let's do this here. It's a lot of involvement for your GM, but look at our government, okay? Look at the White House. Every 4 years, the political philosophy changes. It's so inconsistent, our government. Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican. We go from one side and we ping pong. If you had one stable set of rules, one stable government, one good government, you'd get more done. That's what he's doing with the Eagles here. When you have a style of defense and a style of offense, and you're plugging players in because you know what the identity of what you're looking for, it makes it just common sense that you're going to be able to pick and not have as many misses in free agency as you have in the past. I think it's actually a brilliant way to go about finding free agents. Look at Nicholas Morrow. Now, again, they had given up on him. They fired him. They cut him. Then they brought him back. Because this is what they've done. They haven't changed their philosophy. You got two brand new coordinators. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed except what? The players. That's Howie. That, to me, it alleviates higher probabilities of failures. Okay? I mean it, man. I think it gives him a better idea of what to look for. Yeah, that guy kind of reminds him. Like, look at the kid they just picked up and put him in the slot. Yeah, kind of fits the mold of what we're looking for here. Okay? He fits what we're looking for. I think it's pretty smart how they do it. Good stuff, man. Okay? Good stuff. All right. Let's move on to a early look at the Jets and the Eagles here. By the way, ton of stuff, man. Ton of stuff today. Absolutely loaded. All right. How many people are concerned about this Jets game on Sunday? When you look at the Jets, how concerned are you with this team? I'll say this to you. Jets are not as scary as they would have been if they had Aaron Rodgers. Okay? So they're not as scary as this game could have been. I'm concerned about every game. That's the mentality you should have. And you know what? I think I even wrote that down. You know what the Eagles do a really great job of that Dallas has not mastered? The Eagles do such a great job at beating teams they should beat. Okay? They do a fabulous job at beating teams they're supposed to beat. And I do think it's a week-to-week mentality that they have. That is a culture thing that Dallas has never had in 27 years. I'm going to give you guys a small story about one day when Jimmy Johnson had his team play Washington, and Washington wasn't very good, and they got beat. And it was right before they went into the playoff. You ready for this one? Tony Casillas told me this story. He said on the way home, the airplane was getting ready to serve food to the players. Jimmy said, no, we're not having any dinner. Players come up, start asking Kevin O'Neill, the trainer, hey, are we eating dinner? We're flying back to Dallas. We're not eating anything. You guys don't deserve a meal. You're not doing that on a plane with Jerry Jones. Jimmy Johnson didn't feed his team because they got beat by Washington in a meaningless game. We're not eating. We're not eating. Every game matters. Think about it like this. When's the last time you watched the Eagles play and questioned if they were prepared or not? I can't remember since I've covered them for 2.5 years now. They may be out-coached because of certain situations or talent-wise or something's new. But when it comes for those guys going out and wanting to be in a fist fight, I've never seen the Philadelphia Eagles not stand in a fight. I watched the Dallas Cowboys against the Arizona Cardinals not show up to the fight. Every single guy on that team could have been put on a milk carton or can be put on a billboard for missing persons. Every one of them. including the coaching. No soup for you. Thank you very much, Quz. That's right, man. This team does a fabulous job at making sure that they beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. Barb, I cover everybody. You know what I mean? I cover the NFL, but we're based in Philly, as you know. Here's where I think the crux of this game is going to come down to as you're preparing. Today's Wednesday, right? So you get your game plan for the Jets today. And you probably, as Jason Kelsey and some of the guys were probably at the facility working out yesterday, started watching some film on the Jets front, what the Jets do defensively, vice versa, offensively and defensively. So you kind of maybe watched a couple minutes on your player's day off. You went in there when you're 5-0, you're going to go in there and do the extra steps that it takes because you're looking for a higher goal than just being 21-1. I know some of you are very excited about 21-1 and 5-0, but the Eagle players and the coaches have higher aspirations than that. Okay? That doesn't mean anything to those guys because the more you get into your season, the more you becoming a team that is putting a statement out there, the more it's going to be expected of each and every single player in that 53-man roster. So here's where I think some of this game will be. Will the Eagles secondary put 2 weeks in a row together and stop a awful Jets passing game? You haven't before. New England has a horrific passing game. Horrific. Jones is better than Zach Wilson. Okay, he is. Mac Jones is better than Zach Wilson. I'm not suggesting to you that Zach Wilson's going to light the sky up and all of a sudden he's going to. But your pass defense, let's see it 2 weeks in a row. I saw it for a half. In 5 games, you played a half of really good ball on that side of the ball with adjustments. The Jets' O-line is compatible with New England's O-line. And they were able to move the ball on you. Now, again, I think the Jets' passing game is terrible. Hey, Tone or someone, would somebody please tell me where the New England Patriot offense ranks in passing? Because it'd give me a little bit better of a context how much better they are than the Jets. I think the Jets, if I'm not mistaken, are 25th, somewhere down there in passing. They're not very good. So to me, what's going to happen in this game, you're going to see a lot of quick passes. That sets up perfectly for the Jets and awful for the Eagles. Are you going to play press coverage? Is that what you're going to do? You may have to. Are you going to allow those guys to play pitch and catch? Are you going to line 10 yards off the ball? Are you going to do that? New England is ranked 18th in passing yards per game. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Jets are 25th. So kind of in the same room. They're 32nd. That's not kind of in the same room. When 25 and 18, I'll give you the benefit. 32, you're horrible. But your pass defense has been good for a half. I'm not saying you're not going to put 2 together here. And do I think the Jets can move the sticks on you? They got to tear. Now, they got some rushing yards last week against a team, the Broncos, who I think has already surrendered the white flag. 22 for 177 for Hall against the Broncos. But I think the Broncos are waving the flag. So, that could have been a U-Haul game for some of the Denver Bronco guys, either getting traded or at the end of the day, getting ready to go home as soon. Their season's over. Their season's over. And look, like I said, the Jets defense has been underwhelming this year. I forget who it was. Was it Sauce Gardner or someone said that this was going to be a transcendent defense? You got all those faces and all that money on that side of the ball, and you're getting run over the way you're getting run over. You got to have some intestinal fortitude, man. You can't be run over the way you're being run over. And if I had any kind of say, and I was a Jets coach, I'd be like, you better shut your face, man, and show up. I don't mind getting beat 10-9 because I did my job. But if you're getting run over and you're talking shit that you're going to be one of the greatest defenses of all time, you got a problem in New York. You're getting killed. And you know why you're getting killed? Because you're mentally beat. The Jets are mentally beat and fatigued right now. And you know what that means? Here's what you do to a team like the Jets. Kill them quick. Kill them quick. Don't let them hang around. They'll quit. They want to quit. They're 2-3. They're still hanging in there. You got a wounded animal. Kill them. Don't let them hang around. Don't do what you did for 4 games. Let teams hang with you. Kill them. Knock them out. You haven't been able to do that because your red zone offense blows. You're keeping teams like the Jets and the Patriots and the Vikings in games because you don't know how to finish people off. You allow teams to come back on you. It is a major fundamental flaw in that offense so far that has not been rectified. It has not been fixed in 2.5 years. They were okay with it last year. But in the 2.5 years, it's been spotty red zone. Dude, throw that ball up to him. You know what I'd rather have you do than run the ball in the red zone and goal line? I'd rather have you have a jump ball situation with A.J. Brown. I think he comes down with that. You're one of the worst teams in the league from the 10-yard line in when it comes to scoring TDs. Throw that ball up to that guy. So what? You get a turnover. So what? Comes out to the 20. You're playing good defense. Take some shots. Kicking field goals is not going to win you a Super Bowl. Jason Kelce and everyone at the NovaCare Center knows that. This is not about any longer winning 12 or 13 games. That's an irrelevant conversation. The Eagles and the 49ers are the 2 best teams. And then get this, it's really everybody else. And I'm even saying maybe the AFC. Do I think Kansas City is as good as the Eagles and the 49ers? No. Do I think Buffalo is as good as the 49ers or the Eagles? No. No, I don't. Today, right now, those are the 2 best teams in the league. Okay? But to win the Super Bowl, here's what happens when you kick. If you start kicking field goals against Mahomes, he comes back and beats you. He will beat you. Okay? He will beat you. Because you know why? Field goals and 3-and-outs allow teams back in ball games. Okay? At the beginning of the year, we were looking at all the fancy gadget quarterbacks, weren't we? And they were all on the AFC side. Correct? Look at the 2 guys that are leading the best teams in the NFL. Sure, Hurts got his money. Not one of those guys are first rounders. One guy's a 7th rounder. One guy's a 2nd rounder. And they got the 2 best teams in the league. And we're taken by the shiny objects. The Mahomeses, the Allens, the Herberts. You see how the perception is? of Purdy and Hurts? I'll make a point to you about that here in a minute. We were all looking at all the shiny objects over there. Look at all those great quarterbacks the AFC has. Trevor Lawrence and this and that. Turns out, as we go into week 6, we're Joe Burrow, right? We're going into week 6 and we're going, are the Eagles and the 49ers that much further ahead than everyone else? Dallas looks like they're like almost in the rearview mirror. By the way, them getting Austin Eckler back, I don't believe they're beating the Chargers. I don't believe they're beating the Chargers. Not at all. That defense has been underwhelming. The Eagle run defense has been absolutely spectacular. And if they can't get any running game going, again, you could put this team to sleep early. This is how I see this thing here. I think this could be a U-Haul game for the Jets. Because you'll be 2-4. You're completely out of it. And you start thinking about next year and what you're going to do. And you're waiting for Rodgers. Because to me, however, you ready for this? I think it's 26-16. Until the Eagles show me that they're good in the red zone and could put teams to sleep, you're always going to have teams hanging around you. Everyone hangs around you. Everyone. These haven't been very good teams you've been playing, and they've been hanging around you. You've been beating them, but you're not beating anybody up. You're not beating anybody up. I think it's 26-16, something in that kind of room. Until you can run teams over and show us that you could be consistent in the red zone, championship football teams are great in the red zone. They're not shitty like the Eagles. They're not. I think they'll be right there. Okay? The Bucks and the Rams, JM, congratulations. Hell of a victory. Touting yourself over beating the Bucks and the Rams. Really solid teams. Okay? I guess. I want to show you something, what I just said here. You know, yesterday I gave you my top 10 quarterbacks. And before we move on, okay, to a even more Jalen Hurts topic here, it's not a rip. I think it's something that they need to do. Here was my list for the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL going into week 6. I had Trevor Lawrence 10, Geno 9, Justin Herbert 8, Lamar Jackson 7, Josh Allen 6, Hurts 5. Remember that. Goff 4, Mahomes 3, Tua 2, and Purdy 1. Here's who CBS today put out as their top 10 guys heading into week 6. CJ Stroud over Trevor Lawrence, my 10? Probably. They had Cousins. At 9, I had Geno because Geno is winning. They have Lamar Jackson at 8. I have Justin Herbert at 8. Remember those two. CBS had Goff 7. I had Lamar Jackson 7. CBS has, get this, Jalen Hurts 6. I got Josh Allen 6. 5, they have Justin Herbert 5. I have Justin Herbert 8. And I got Jalen Hurts ranked higher than the national people do. So don't tell me I'm picking on Hurts. I got Hurts higher ranked than the majority of the people at ESPN, CBS, and anywhere in the country. I'm being fair to the kid. They got Brock Purdy 4. Brock Purdy's playing the best football of anybody, but the perception that I just talked about, him being Mr. Irrelevant, blinds him. Nobody's playing better quarterback than him. Nobody. You know it, and I know it. They won't let their eyes tell the truth. I got golf 4. Jared Goff's playing great ball. They don't want to believe it, though, because they ripped him. This is why when you guys tell me this, Sills, how come you change your opinion? Well, I changed my opinion because players change their performance, to good or bad. These guys here refuse to change their opinion, even in the light of a player playing better or worse. That's why. Who would you rather hear that from? Somebody going like this? Well, the player's playing better. You got to elevate him. Or a guy who's going to stick his foot in the mud or cement to try to prove a point just to keep a guy down because he made a preseason proclamation. Okay? It's fundamentally flawed thinking. I got Mahomes 3. They have 2 or 3, really. You actually think that Mahomes has had a better season when every number across the board is down and Tua's playing at a high level, that Mahomes has played better? Where do you see that? I had Tua 2. They got Josh Allen 3rd or 2nd. I got Josh Allen 6th, ranked behind Hurts. I got Purdy 1, and they have Patrick Mahomes 1. So when you guys come here and tell me that I'm talking shit on Jalen, no, I'm not. Do you trust the Phillies to beat the Braves? They got the pitching matchup tonight. They should take care of business. Okay? There's no question that Jalen Hurts, look at the guys on this list here. How many guys were first rounders? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of the 10 are first rounders. One's a journeyman, and Geno Smith, and Purdy and Hurts are the other ones. And they're on the best teams because they're in the best organizations. It's perception, man. The league doesn't like promoting Jalen Hurts. National media people don't like his style. They think he's a gifted player. They think he's a winner. They say all the intangible things, but deep down, they don't believe he's going to win a Super Bowl ever. You know it, and I know it. Jalen Hurts is playing better than Josh Allen. He's playing better than Justin Herbert. And like you guys say, look through the numbers, right? Look through the numbers. Figuring shit out. Hey, man, you think the Chargers have a target on their chest? Why? You think the Eagles have a target on their chest? You bet your ass they do. You bet your ass they do. You bet they do. Okay? Dude, I think it's fuel for the team. And I've said this to you the last couple days. Look, 49ers are right here. Now, look, you guys played like that last year. So don't think they can't. But that's a lot to maintain. And I don't think, get this, that 49er team, and I know we got a lot of 49er fans in here. Thank you very much, Dream. Let me say this to you. What do you think the difference is between the 49ers this year compared to the Eagle team of a year ago? because they're going to have to try to keep that same level up there the entire 17 weeks. I don't think the 49ers are as deep as Philly was last year. You could lose Jordan Davis, and all of a sudden you put in Adama Sue and Linval Joseph. Dude, that is very capable replacements when you lose a dude. You had very capable replacements. You lose McCaffrey in the backfield, you got a good running back in that other kid. Not saying you don't. You start losing some components on defense. I do not think the 49ers have a lot of depth. Because you know why? They had to give up a king's ransom to get McCaffrey in to San Francisco. They're not as deep as that Eagle team a year ago. Maybe I'm just too grateful, but when it comes to Jalen, I'm so appreciative to what he has become. Let's not forget where he was a time when he wasn't even in the top 20 or 40. That was just 18 months ago. Now we debate if he's a top 5 guy. I respect the distance he's traveled. Could care less about those national bozos. How about this? I'll make a concession to you on Hurts. Is Hurts the most talented quarterback in the league? No. Is Hurts one of the top 5 game managers to win a game? Maybe top 3? Yes. Who would you rather be? Justin Herbert or Jalen Hurts? I want Justin Herbert to have Jalen Hurts' brain. I heard something today that made me really question Shedeur Sanders. And I think a lot of quarterbacks think this way. I couldn't believe what I heard. You know why he takes a lot of sacks at Colorado? Because he doesn't want to have a low incompletion percentage and a low quarterback rating. And I was like, what does that have to do with winning? So you want people to perceive you because you know people look at the numbers and not what you're doing on the field. I got a problem with that. Jalen Hurts, when there was a play in the game on Sunday. Maybe you guys remember it. Tone, it was late in the game. He ran to the right. He made sure he was outside the quarterback box. Threw it away. Sanders doesn't want to do that. And I think a lot of quarterbacks don't want to do that. Because the more throwaways you have, the more you have chances of having a low completion percentage and people perceive you as not being accurate. It's not that you're not accurate. You're smart. Okay? Last week, Sil said Jalen is a one-read quarterback. He's getting better at it. Just like Mahomes is getting better at it. Mahomes said when he came to Kansas City, he was a one-read quarterback, but not your guy, right? Jesus, criminy. Andy Reid has helped me read defenses that I never thought I could ever read. I'm paraphrasing what Mahomes said. So wait a minute. The greatest gifted quarterback in the game is still learning how to read defenses, but not your guy. Okay, sure. Your guy's a God's gift to having everything, and that's why he went in the first 5 picks. Sure, dude. Okay. Right. Mahomes is still learning. Michael Vick, who had been a sensational athlete, said he didn't know how to read defenses or prepare for a game until he got with Andy Reid. And he was already 8 years in, but not your guy. Right. Well, I'm going to make a proclamation about your guy, Jalen Hurts. Most of you probably won't agree with it. Not here to have you sit around here and agree with me or not agree with me. Here, I think this. If the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win a Super Bowl, Hurts has to run more. I think he has to stay around what he did this last week between 11 and 17 carries, and they will not be able to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. You're going to run into a few defenses that you might not want to run them as much, but you don't have a red zone back. You don't have a short yardage back. You don't really have anybody inside the 20 except him. That's more of a threat. Swift is not a threat. He's been taken out his entire career in the red zone. In Detroit, they had another guy up there just for that role. I think Jalen Hurts has to run more. And this is contradicting what I said 2 years ago. Because now, watching him not having that facet of his game, it hampers him. It totally hampers him. And if he's going to be a dual threat guy, let him be a dual threat guy. You can't change him. I don't want you to change him. Dick Vermeil's right. Dick Vermeil is right. He's right. Let him run more. Okay? Has to run more. When he was in that, actually, I would say, would we not probably, I think the entire 4 quarters, actually. I think Jalen Hurts, of all the players that played for the Eagles this past week against the Rams, I would make the contention that he played probably a 60-minute football game where I was really pleased with every single thing he did. The pick, I don't care. The Rams were not beating them, okay? And the Rams weren't beating them because they adjusted with Desai in the second half from what Desai did, okay? So, to me, I mean, I think Jalen played 60 minutes of football where you come out of that game going, yeah, I want to see that every week. This is what I want to see on getting this team going. I want to see Goddard. I want to see Swift in the pass game. I want to see Jalen in the run game. And you know what that does? That opens up Devontae, AJ, all of those guys back there, because the number one, hey, let me say this to you. Let me ask you this. Is Jalen Hurts more, are you afraid of Jalen Hurts more on 3rd and long in the passing game? Or are you afraid of Jalen Hurts more in 3rd and long in the run game? What do you fear more if you're a coordinator? What do you feel more of a concern if you're a coordinator? Hurts getting out in the perimeter, or Hurts throwing the ball down the field? I'll tell you this. Hey, I don't fear Jalen Hurts throwing the ball, but they will. I'm going to tell you what we used to say about Steve Young versus Joe Montana. Okay? Name goes, why would you want to change what's working 5-0? No, I want to go back to being what they did to get them to a Super Bowl a year ago. That's what I want. And that Ram game, Jalen did. That's what I want them to do. That was working. Okay? That's what was working. Again, Hurts on that getting open like that on 3rd and long, the way he runs. Jesus. Steve Young, we used to say this about him. Man, I sure hope that Montana's healthy. Because what made Steve Young such an incredible football player was that he ran 4.4s and he was 97. Like he was like his quarterback rating was like 98 or something when he retired. His accuracy was off the charts. Tone, his accuracy, if you look at his completion percentage, Young might have the highest percentage in completion percentage in NFL history. And he ran a 4.4. But when he got in the open, remember that run in the playoff game against Minnesota? Jason, he did. It cost him his career because, again, those kind of players that run the ball like that don't last long. It's totally true. And he played a long time because he backed up Montana for a decade. Okay? So, to me, he did take a lot of hits. He did. Yeah, but again, how many years did he start? How many years did Steve Young start in the National Football League compared to just being on a roster? Because he was on a roster and he was behind Montana. Steve Young, stats.
According to stats, Steve Young
threw for 33,000, not bad. But how many years did he play as a starting quarterback? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 years he started. Last year he got hurt and he had to retire. He had 7 years of starting out of 15 years. So he started only half the time that he played in the league. I'm not saying Montana wasn't better. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that to you. He was. Do you agree? He has to run the way he ran against he's got to play like that, like he played against the Rams. Correct? Now there's risk there. Because some are going to go, hey, Sills, there's more of a risk because he's on pace, like we were saying, for 187 carries, I think Tone and I looked at, and potentially we're looking at maybe if it keeps continuing to rise, it could be a 200 carry season. Okay? Like last year, Senior, he had I think he had 167 carries, and he missed those 4 games. If I'm not mistaken. What did he miss? 3 games? He missed those 3 games, and they didn't want him to run in the last game. So it was like 3 games, and if I'm not mistaken, maybe it was 2 games. But he had 167 carries a year ago. He was on pace for 200 carries. He was on pace for 200. Okay? Big Sills, our Lions are pretty stupid taking a running back instead of Carter, aren't they? Could you imagine Carter and Aiden Hutchinson on the same team? Well, a lot of people passed on them because of character issues that weren't there. They were made up. They were made up. Jaylen Carter has not been anything but a model citizen. He's doing everything right. And you know why that is? There's Fletcher Cox around him. There's his former college coach around him. There's a winning culture around him. There's a lot of people that know, hey, when you're a Philadelphia Eagle, get this. When you're a Philadelphia Eagle, the expectations are different in Philly than in Dallas. You know why? It's got more to do with winning than being a TV star. And that's why people maybe have a little problem with some of the Jason Kelce stuff. I don't, because I think the guy is having a fun time in his life, especially with the fact that when you watch him go out and play and he's starting to pick his game back up again. Hey, I tell you this. You know what somebody told me? Brian Boldinger told me something. You know why he really is really great at that push tush or the brotherly shove? Is because he gets in a 4-point stance. People don't pick that up, that he's in a 4-point stance when he does that. Man, you're low when you're in a 4-point stance and you're a center. The hand quickness you have to get that football back, I'd be slapping at the ball. I'd try to pin his hand. That's what a lot of nose guards do. When you snap the ball, you know what you try to do? If you're quick enough in the hands, you try to pin that snap arm to his chest, and that's how you get around him or you bull rush him. His hands are quick. For him to be able to get that ball out of there like that and that brotherly shove, there's no question that that's a major part of that thing. Okay? 49ers. Stupid teams and franchises think you got to run or pass more. Winning franchises game plan their opponents to win in different ways. 49er. I said this to a couple people. I think it was Boomer Esiason and Phil Simms, and I said it to Simms yesterday. Certain offensive coordinators are trying to put up a lot of points and a lot of yards. Certain coordinators are trying to win ball games. There's a difference between the styles of how you prepare yourself and how you prepare your team. Okay? You mean, how many times do you look at a coordinator and this guy wants to put up a shitload of yards? I think that's Kellen Moore. I think that's Kellen Moore. I think he wants to put a ton of yards up and a ton of points up. And for whatever reason, they're not winning critical games. Okay? It's good. Got to fix the red zone, though. Run more. Have him run. Have him run. Most people are not going to agree with this because there's more chance of injury. Well, what are you going to do right now about your red zone offense when you start playing these better teams? You're not going to beat San Francisco kicking field goals. They're waiting for you. Here's the one thing I'll say about this 49er team. They're waiting for you. They think they have unfinished business. You're the heavyweight champion of the NFC. You hold the belt. What's tougher? Holding the belt or climbing the hill to get the belt? Do you have the same fire you had a year ago to hold that team off? I think you do. I'm not saying you don't. I think it's going to be an iconic matchup. And I pray everyone's healthy. I want to see this. Eagles, there's one thing, Camille, that I'll say to you, or Camel, whatever, and I'll say this to anybody. You could say a lot of things about the Eagles. Being soft is not one thing. There's nothing timid about the Eagles and the 49ers. That's appointment-setting television. And you know what you have when you tune on these television shows still? Do you know Jerry Jones came out today? You know what he said? We had a bad night against San Francisco. The Cowboy owner / general manager, Micah Parsons, saying that we're a playoff team as good as San Fran. The owner saying that we had a bad night. And where's the leadership? Every coach in his right mind. You know what I would have said if I heard that? I would have got to the podium and I would have looked around the room and said, who said that shit? Well, maybe he needs to get some game film on how he played. Sitting there talking about another opponent. It's Wednesday. We got Cleveland this week. What's he talking about? He got ran over last week. I thought we were going to have to get the ambulance for him, to have to take him to the emergency room because he had to figure out what the license plate was on that bus that ran him over. I was going to send the cops over so that they could see if he had any information, if he had the license plate of that bus that ran you over. I'm here to talk about Cleveland. That's soft. That's soft. Worrying about getting your ass kicked. I am all in on the Chargers winning this week. Do you think you would ever hear that from Jason Kelsey or Fletcher Cox, even Nick? If you got killed, you know what's great? I'm trying to figure out, have you been killed in a game since I've been talking about you guys? That's quite a streak, too. Have you guys been killed in a game? The Cowboy game? The first year, the Cowboys killed you. The Cowboys killed you. They were non-competitive football games. They killed you 2 times. But the second one, you took your dudes out. So I don't know, maybe 1 time. Not since 2021 when the Cowboys smoked us and the Bucs in the playoffs. The Buccaneer game. That's right, Tone. The Buck game. It's Brady. Yeah, JM. The Buck game. The Bucs. They killed. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. So we're talking about 36 games. You got killed in 1? Jesus. How many times do you think you can go over in the last 36 games where the Cowboys were killed? 5? 6? Right? 5 or 6? Right? NFC, AFC title game, Super Bowl, all close. Hey. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, my God, LJ. Hey, ever since I've started talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, you've gone to a Super Bowl. I predicted you to go last year. I predicted you to go to the NFC title game this year. And you're 22-1 since the 2-5 start. You're welcome. Hey, Tone, you're welcome. I must be a good luck charm. Sills is the brotherly good luck charm. I'm your good luck charm. Say it with me. Yes, sir. I am your good luck charm. Thank you, LJ. No. Hey, Joseph, Seth is 2:30 tomorrow. We had a scheduling conflict a little bit, so he's coming on tomorrow at 2:30. So we will have him then to kick off the show. We had to reschedule him for tomorrow at 2:30. So we will have him tomorrow, and Seth apologized because kind of got time differences all mixed up here. So okay. Kayla Santiago unfortunately can't do the show today. She's in the ER due to severe case of the flu. Okay. And has not been discharged yet. She's willing to reschedule. All right. We'll figure that out after the program here. So all good. Not an issue. Just means more of you, unfortunately. Nice show with Seth. I love Seth Joyner. I totally love Seth Joyner. Okay? Totally love him, man. Absolutely. When I heard that, though, from Shedeur Sanders, that I didn't want to throw the ball away, I started thinking about other quarterbacks in the NFL that won't say that, but he said that because he doesn't want to have a lower quarterback percentage. Brian, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Listen, I think this game, again, until they can show us that they can really play well in the red zone, probably around a 26-16, something like that, somewhere in that conversation, that I still think it's going to be around that room there. So, Hey, by the way, our friend Tone, the segment, will be at 3:30 like always, so we will talk with him. We still have a ton of stuff to hit on here. Oh, by the way, there is going to be a lot of movement. The trading deadline is what? October 31? Am I right? October 31? Well, there's some names out there now that are being floated around that could potentially be on the move. And would Howie make a move for one of these guys? And get this, October 31 is that the Friday prior to the Sunday night game? Or is that Thursday? I think that's Thursday before you play the Cowboys. Right? I got this list from one of my dear friends who is a head football coach in the NFL, who has been on this program. I'm going to leave it at that, on names that are being floated around the National Football League. We're going to do that again, and we will do that. Yes, Eagles play the boys on November 5th. Okay. So I think that's a Thursday. You could make a move prior to that. All right, we're going to hit on these guys at the top of the hour here. Then we're going to talk to our friend Tone at 3:30. Hey, look, guys, do me a favor. Go into any one of the 7 locations nearest you when it comes to our friends at Hooters. The 40th anniversary, we're so proud to have them as the official sponsor of the National Football Show. I've known these gentlemen for over 40 years, and it's one of the greatest businesses in the country, let alone one of the greatest restaurants and environments. The iconic Hooter girls are there to serve you, and if you don't want to go into any one of the locations, northeasthooters.com, that's northeasthooters.com. Get the app, man, hooterstogo.com. Order off the app or go into the places and try some of our 40-year traditions. Buy 10 wings, get 10 boneless free. Wing Wednesdays, 1983, the year the place was founded. Happy hours, 6 items, $6, fried pickles, northeasthooters.com. That's northeasthooters.com. And when you go into any one of the locations, do me a favor, tell them Big Sil sent you.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild wood days.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, Birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com. EAGLES, Eagles.
Is Darius Slay gassed? You think Slay's gassed? Or do you want to play through the season with him? Let me say this to you. Do you think it's the reason why they're not playing press coverage? Why they're playing off the ball? Because they really don't have a depth guy over there to replace him? They may be playing zone defense because they have to. You know? Again, this is something that Sean Desai has to overcome too. Underperforming players. Right? Last year, Jonathan, you see, here's the fundamental flaw with Jonathan Gannon versus Sean Desai this year. Sean Desai is going to be playing against better people with lesser players, including the ones that may have a little time on them now. Okay? He is. He's got more. Jonathan Gannon could never fix the leak in the swimming pool. He had to run to Howie to try to fix it. Give me another player. What Desai did against the Rams in the second half was the first time I went, hey, great. This guy knows what he's doing. Seth and I talked about that last night on his show. Me and him both completely agree. Holy cow, there was some creativity. Then he brought pressure. And you were like, whoa, okay. Little concerned about his safeties? What does he do? He blitzes them internally because he knew Stafford. By the way, that's understanding Stafford. Stafford has always struggled with internal pressure. You know who else has always had a little issue with internal pressure? The GOAT. You never blitz Brady off the perimeter. You always blitz them up the middle. When you got internal pressure on Brady, that's how teams like Baltimore and the Colts with Dungy, that's how they beat him, was with internal pressure, keeping him in the boxes. He ain't going to run. He missed wide open throws, Bard, because they were blitzing him up the middle. Something the Eagles haven't done a lot of. Tells me a lot. So when you see Slay, I think Slay has to play. I think he has to play like that. Because Desai is determined. They're saying this. Darius Slay, this is last year. He'll probably finish the year. Okay? Okay? Personally, again, I think he's done. I thought he was done last year. You guys fought me on it. He's done. All right. Before I move on, and I'll tell you where Jaylen Carter is, where people are looking around the national media when it comes to him as Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'll get to that here in a minute. I want to show you guys something about how Jalen Hurts conducts himself and Patrick Mahomes conducts himself, and the reason why Aaron Rodgers never became the winner that I thought he could have become. What is Aaron Rodgers going publicly on the Pat McAfee show saying, hey, I called up Jordan Love just to give him some confidence and told him that things will be okay. Just keep to the grindstone and some other bullshit he said. Does anybody buy that? Does anybody buy a guy who hated the pick, didn't like the guy on the team, barely talked to him? He's on another team now. He should be talking to Zach Wilson. And you're talking about a guy on another team. You know why? So that he can remind Packer fans, you really wanted me out, didn't you? How is it now? That's the difference between winners and losers. They push that shit ahead. They don't care about that stuff. That stuff is rear view mirror. That's the kind of stuff, again, when you guys talk about Hurts' intangibles, that's an intangible. Sour grapes is an intangible. Okay? All right? Crazy. Just you're on the Jets. Why are you involved in that? I mean, you just want to remind Packer fans of what they don't have, and you're sticking it to them. Everyone knows you're doing that. You're just sticking it to them. That's the kind of stuff that Brady and Jalen and Patrick Mahomes and really all the good ones. Like I saw some of you in here. Hey, man, who cares? Right. Why does he care? Why does he care? Again, that's the little things. If you're a coach or an organization, you do this. And now I know why. He won more MVPs than Tom Brady. And Tom Brady's got 7 Super Bowls. Who would you rather be? Perfect example of the difference between the two. And get this, Rodgers is more talented. Rodgers is more talented. He's a more talented player than Brady. That's why it matters. You don't always have to be the most gifted player in the NFL. You don't. Intangibles, like you guys always say, hard work, talent, you're in the league, you have talent, can beat that. Rodgers is a loser. He's a loser. He doesn't believe what he says. He says it just to appease himself. Everything is completely about that guy. What a horrible teammate. Completely, man. Anyway, all right. So far, here are the standings according to some of the people that I have that vote for the NFL Rookie of the Year. And I called around last night to around 20 people. And here's how it looks right now. Ivan Pace, Vikings, inside linebacker, is 6th. This kid, Lucas Van Ness from the Packers, edge rusher, is 5. Brian Branch, Lions, safety, is 4. Will Anderson is 3. Texans, edge. Devin Witherspoon is 2. Seahawks, cornerback. And Jaylen Carter's number 1. Eagles, defensive tackle. And the Devin Witherspoon and Jaylen Carter debate is a hot one with a lot of voters. Devin Witherspoon. I'm so happy that pre-draft, and I know, Tone, you know this, and I had Bijan too, I would say, that my 3 favorite players in the draft were Devin Witherspoon and Jaylen Carter. And I told you Devin Witherspoon, this kid from Illinois, and Jaylen Carter. And I love Bijan. So those 3 are my 3 favorite players. And Devin Witherspoon is having a sensational year. He is a player. Okay? He is a great player. The kid Lucas Van Ness, who didn't start it down at Iowa, is having a pretty good year up in Green Bay. I'm pretty shocked with that. Brian Branch, I thought he was a little slow. He's having a really good year at the safety position for the Lions, and he's made a nice impact there. I wanted Gonzalez over Bijan. Never thought we could get Carter. Gonzalez was having a really good year until he got injured and was lost for the season. Cody says Carter is the top rookie so far. I would agree Weatherspoon's not far behind, though, man. Okay? Callie Green asks a question. Sills, do you still think the Cowboys have a better D-line? No, I do not. No, I do not. Actually, Washington has a better D-line than the Cowboys. Washington does. I would say Washington. I would even make this comment. I wouldn't. Maybe even New England has a better. You can't get run on like that. And you can't be annihilated like it's not. Hey, get this. I get the 49er loss a little bit, but I don't get the Arizona ass kicking. I don't get the Arizona ass kicking. I just don't get that. They want to hide that one. And they want to try to change. Look at how the media is trying to change that narrative beating on the 49er game. You guys in Philly and other parts like Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Chicago, I totally understand it now. I listen to shows every day, and I hear people coming up with reasons why Dallas got killed. And the only reason you got killed is because you're not better. Your coach sucks, and your quarterback sucks. You're not going anywhere. The Eagles no longer, like I said yesterday, the Eagles no longer have a 2-game lead in the East. You have a 10-year lead. They can't beat you. Watch this. Even if the Dallas Cowboys beat you in one of these games this year, they won't win the war with you. Okay? They haven't won the war almost 30 years with you. They can't. Hey, do I think they'll split with you? Yeah, probably. Before I went, yes. Now I'm going, yeah, probably. Probably. Dallas, they lose to the Chargers this weekend. I think they're fighting for the playoffs. Okay? I think they lose to the Los Angeles Chargers. Dallas Cowboys are going to be fighting whether or not to make it to the playoffs. Then you're going to have to work. Then you're going to have to fire a coach. Do you bring Dion in? And who are you going to go for a quarterback? What are you going to do? You know what, Dallas Cowboys? We're going to get to some of these trade guys here in a minute. Cowboys need a quarterback. You're not going anywhere. And by the way, you know what you're hearing now? You're hearing people murmuring up Trey Lance. He is not going to save you. Trey Lance is a worse version of Marcus Mariota. I'd rather have Mariota. Get this. Mariota is better than Trey Lance. Okay? Trey Lance has no future. He has no future. He is a bust. A bust. The Dallas Cowboys would love to have Marcus Mariota. Now, the question would be, you're going to run through the tape here with this, and the Cowboys are – get this. The Dallas Cowboys, because of the Philadelphia Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles have to implode the entire organization. As a bet, Eagles home field advantage, what week? Let's get into the meat of the schedule here, and let's see how they play. Sills, do you think they bench Dak this year or rough it out? Man, that's a really great question. Brian, that's a really great question. Look at the quarterback situation in the NFC East. Giants may need a new quarterback. The Cowboys need a new quarterback. Washington is trying to figure out if Sam Howell survives a year and he doesn't get killed getting sacked so many times, and then he got Hurts. Right now, what has happened, the Eagles are completely pushing away from every single team in the NFC East. And it is getting to be a wide. Would we agree it's a wider gap this year than it was a year ago between all the teams in the East? It's a wider gap now. I mean, people thought the Giants were kind of on their way. I never believed it. I told you that. I thought they were frauds. The Cowboys won 12 games 2 years in a row. You were like, okay, they're winning games. Now this year, you know who the only other team outside of Philadelphia is getting? Get this. Philly's the only team getting better in the East. Philly's the only team getting better, and they're 5-0. Get this. You're basically, wouldn't we call it this? You're not rebuilding. You're retooling on the fly. How many teams can retool on the fly? Not many in that league. You can do that in college with 1 billion kids on your roster. You can't do that. The Eagles are rebuilding. Okay? They're rebuilding on the fly. Replacing a Pro Bowl running back, Pro Bowl right guard, Pro Bowl interception leader, and CJ, linebackers who were productive last year, a defensive tackle position that was suspect against the run has improved to be the best in the league. What do the Eagles need to do to be better than the 49ers? Continuity. It's going to be interesting to see what happens Thursday when Nakobe Dean is taken off the when he's taken off the IR, how they play him and how they look at him and what kind of conversation they have with him and what his 11 goes, New England is rebuilding, and they're 1-4. The play calling, look, just keep doing what you're doing. I want to see them duplicate the Rams game mentally each and every single week now. Hurts getting out and running more. Don't tell him to slide. He'll take care. You don't need to tell Jalen Hurts to slide. He knows to get down. Again, hey, would this be a fair comment? I think you don't overcoach him. He doesn't need it. You don't need to overcoach Jalen Hurts. Okay? You don't need to overcoach him. You got this. Don't overcoach him. Eagles need a new wide receiver, LB, and safeties. Cowboys are going to crush. The Cowboys are a finesse team. They don't crush anybody except the shitty New York teams. I'll tell you what, man. I bought on the fool's gold too. I don't get this. It's like being a abused son. I feel like I'm an abused son. You keep going. It looks like the year. It looks like the year. It looks like, and then you're like, you're just, you put yourself through torture with that stuff. You're just like, man, I mean, it's 30 years of horseshit. Dude, I will never in a million years, ever in a million years, take the Cowboys in a big game ever again. I don't trust you. I have no faith in you. You're like a cheating woman. I will never have faith in you as long as I live. Ever. I will always hold it against you. I will always know that you did this. You always broke my heart. I am never doing this again. You cannot trust them. It's like a chick who looks you in the face and keeps continually going behind your back. And this time, guess what? She's making out with your boy. Okay? The Dallas Cowboys will not win a Super Bowl until Jerry Jones is no longer running the team. I think Steven could get it done because Steven's going to bring in more people. Steven's not going to be the general manager of the team. He's going to bring in a qualified general manager because his dad has always been, again, the Jimmy Johnson thing. And I know some of you get tired of it. Tone, here, all of you, I know you get tired of it. But after they won those Super Bowls and Jerry fired Jimmy in Orlando at the owners' meetings when he said anybody could coach his team. Do you remember those comments? Jimmy stood up and Aunt Betty, excuse me, you know what he said? Fine. You find another fucking coach to win you a Super Bowl. Barry Switzer still to this day credits that's Jimmy's Super Bowl ring. I just happen to have been here. Okay? Jerry Jones as a GM is a definition of insanity. Dirty D, right. He's the longest running failure general manager in pro football history. I mean, seriously, even George Halas won. George Halas won. He is such an egomaniac. He wants to win a title. The same way Brady wanted to win a title without Belichick. And you know what's got to be eating Belichick? Belichick can't even win a playoff game without Brady. Shit, Belichick can't even get back to the playoffs without Brady. The more he stays, and I'm talking Bill, the more he stays, the more people are going to start looking at him like this. You really made a really great decision with Tom Brady. And it was a really great decision. And it was a career-changing decision. And everyone gives you the kudos for that. And everyone gives you the kudos for the first part of the dynasty. Because you won with field goals and Vinatieri and Brady being accurate on third down. But after the first three, those last three, I mean, if it wasn't for TB12, I don't know, dude. Okay. Crazy. Absolutely. I mean, Jerry Jones sticking around like this. And get this. Here's the thing you do. Here's the thing you do here too. You do this, you go, so today, Jones was saying this. Hey, we had a bad night. You had Jason Kelsey's bitching on the sidelines about red zone offense, and they're undefeated. And Jerry Jones is trying to justify a 32-point ass beating, let alone the fact you got destroyed by Arizona. I quit. I'm done. Hey, guess what, sweetie? Hey, honey Dallas, pick your shit up and get out of here. By the way, I'll mail you the rest of your stuff. Okay? I'm done with you, man. By the way, too, everything you bought me, I'm burning. Okay? I don't want anything to do with this, man, because I don't trust you. I don't even want to be reminded of you. Okay? As a matter of fact, I'm going to take my helmet and put it in the garage in a box somewhere deep because I can't do it, man. You cannot trust them. Hey, they're going to split with you. So let's bring in my boy Tone.
Sills, I love you, man.
I'm sending that chick out of town, man. That's it. I'm done. You're on I'm not even giving you a plane fare. I'm giving you a Greyhound, and I'm giving you a one-way ticket. Wherever you want to go, man, just get me, just get out. I'll mail your shit in little shoe boxes.
You know, there seems to be this campaign about trying to justify that loss.
completely.
and justify why Dak Prescott looked the way he looked, why that defense looked the way they look. And these are the signs of a team these are the signs of a team that's dying a slow death. They are literally pointing so many fingers at each other. The DBs are pointing at the D line, and the D line's pointing at the quarterback. The quarterback is the only person that's actually been quiet and handled it like a man is Dak Prescott. He's the only person that actually handled it like a man. He even said in his press conference, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, we didn't see that coming. I didn't expect to get my ass beat like that. You know what I mean? Like I'm paraphrasing, of course, and I'm adding a little spice, but like that whole organization is quite frankly a joke, and it's impossible to take them serious in a serious situation.
If I were him, and for him to win a Super Bowl, he's got to get out of there. If he wants to win, get this. Whatever, like he needs to go to some situation like San Francisco, like a place where you have really good men. I'll tell you what, that could be great if it wasn't for Jalen in Philly. Places that have, you know where else he would be great? Pittsburgh.
Ooh,
A place like the Steelers with Mike Tomlin.
That would be
something like that. You're in a place that, get this, it's going to be calmer.
Or imagine Dak in Tennessee.
If Vrabel's there, if he still stays there, that's another place.
Right. I mean, it's, you know, I say this all the time, right? You know, it's easy to rip Dak because he's a Cowboy. But if Dak wasn't a Cowboy, I like Dak Prescott.
I like that too.
But you know, he's a Cowboy, so by proxy, I have to hate him.
Absolutely. All right. What'd you make of my comment about Jalen running more? And I mean not running more than what he did against the Rams, but between 11 and 15, something like in there. Because to me, Tone, when I watch him and that threat of him running like that, I fear him more in 3rd and long on the run than I do 3rd and long in the pass. Because when he does that, you can't get off the field when you've got that one innate ability to be able to move the chains that a lot of guys don't have. And like I said earlier, is he one of the top 3 talents? When you watch guys play in the NFL, shit, man, everybody doesn't think that. You know what I think, though, about this kid? I think this. If you had to win a ball game, would he be one of the top 3 guys that you would want in your football team to win a game against any of the other guys in the league? He would be. I think that's all you need to have. He's one of the top. He'd be one of the 3 quarterbacks that I would pick to win a football game in the league. And that has nothing sometimes to do with all the gifts of being an arm thrower like Aaron Rodgers. Look at Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. You couldn't have 2 more polar opposite athletes.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. You know, in the offseason, I spoke about this, I think the other day with you. I was one of those people that were campaigning for him to run a little bit less. Last season, through 15 games, he was averaging about 11 rush attempts per game. I'm not sure what he's averaging this year, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's around that same number.
I think it's 10. He's got 55 now, so it's at 10 right now.
Yeah. Okay. That's about right. About 11, 10.
10
Okay. So,
yeah. 11.
So he's pretty much doing the exact same thing. But yeah, where I am with Jalen Hurts now, I'm past the point of, you know, we need to protect this guy. It clearly affects his game where he's trying too hard to play the game safe. It clearly affects his mentality. It makes him gun shy, right? For some, you know how some guys, they needed, okay, you played the game, right? You ever felt like you needed to take that one good hit before you're ready to really get things going? You know what I mean? Like
especially after I got hurt, I wanted to be in there. I wanted to get hit. I'll tell you this, my first NFL game against the Chicago Bears and Walter Payton, I couldn't believe it. I took a wham play and I go, I'm ready. Here we go. Okay, now I got the game speed.
But that's what I mean,
ready to
right?
No, because you know what happens when you get hit like that? All right, it's big boy ball. Got to get my ass down a little lower. I got to get some leverage on this because it's going to be big boy ball here. Yeah. So
I'm
it does happen like that.
I'm buying that. You know, like my thing is with Jalen, I want Jalen to play Jalen Hurts football. at the end of the day, the Philadelphia Eagles they know his playing style. They've seen it for 2 years before they decided to pay him. They know what he is. They know what they bought. So my thing is, why hamper that? Why stop that? Why limit that? I'm all in on him playing the game the way he plays the game. Whatever happens, happens. We have to live with the results because this is the journey that we signed up for, right? You can't go to a store, make a purchase, know what you're buying, and then have buyer's remorse. You know what I mean? Like you can't. We got to let Jalen Hurts cook and let him do his thing. If he has a 10-year career in Philadelphia and he gets a Super Bowl out of it, hey, listen, he won for me. That's how I look at it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Any quarterback that comes through this organization, because unfortunately, I don't feel like the Philadelphia Eagles have had the greatest luck with quarterbacks. There are some organizations that have had quarterbacks for 20 years, like the Green Bay Packers, right? They've had 2 quarterbacks in the past 30 years, right? So the Philadelphia Eagles, I feel like over the past few years, I feel like we've been trying to figure out that guy that truly gets it. You know what I mean? Like really think about the Eagles quarterback history. Who's the last quarterback to play for the Philadelphia Eagles that truly understood the culture, what it takes, and that was really willing to lay it out on the line? Probably Jaworski, maybe Michael Vick because he was brought in. But overall, Jalen Hurts, what he brings to the table, you don't want to stop that. You don't want to put a muzzle on that, right? Let that guy cook. Let Jalen Hurts listen. Like you said, if Jalen Hurts is giving me 275 passing yards, 50 rushing yards, that's his game. That's his game.
Stop that.
You can't. You have to game plan. And then on top of that, you add in A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, DeAndre Swift, Devontae Smith. You add in all those weapons with that offensive line, they're damn near indefensible. Let Jalen Hurts be Jalen Hurts. That's where I'm at with it.
You think Matthew Stafford was a success with the Rams?
Yeah. They got a Super Bowl out of it. Yeah. Hell yeah.
So you got 2 years potentially of shitty football, 1 good year, and a Super Bowl year.
Matthew Stafford.
That's a success.
Listen, he could not win another game for them.
Right.
Because think about how hard the Rams have been fighting prior to that, right? They always came so close. The Rams have been one of the most dominant teams over the past 5 years prior to Stafford, right? During the Golf McVay era, right? They were always in the mix, and they always came so close, but no cigar. You make that trade for Matthew Stafford the first year he wins your Super Bowl, whatever happens after that, hey, you got to pay the tab at some point, and you live with the results, man.
I actually think they're getting better too, and I think they're going to be okay by the end of the year. I don't know what
I think so.
means.
They're just young. They're really young. They're really young, and they lack a lot of talent on that deep. I think the Rams are ahead of schedule, and if they have another good draft under their belt, I think the Rams will be right back in the mix.
Absolutely, so do I. An early look at this Jets-Eagles game.
Yes,
I circled this part of the game here, Tone, where I think this could come down to, because it's something that you and I kind of talked about a little bit after the Patriot game that Monday when we were talking about tight ends. And maybe even I think that Friday going into the Patriot game, we both went like this. Yeah, Hunter Henry and the other Patriot tight end and Mac Jones, they may not be stars, but then you brought up the point. You said this, you went, yeah, but Zach Cunningham and Nicholas Morrow are lesser than those guys. So to me, here's where I think it comes down to with this Jets game. Again, for it to be a chance for the Jets to keep it close, is that are the Eagles going to be able to put 2 weeks in a row, actually 4 quarters in a row of playing good pass defense against a very shitty pass offense? Now, would I say that New England is a better passing attack than the Jets? I would. Do I think Mac Jones is a better quarterback than Zach Wilson? I do. Mm-hmm. I saw Zach Wilson have a pretty good game against Kansas City. He's hot and cold. Very. And to me, here's where this sets up. So are you going to play press coverage? Or are you going to give that guy and that kid, hey, Tone, I don't care how bad you are. If you give a guy a 10-yard cushion, Ian Book could complete
pitch and
that.
Catch.
It's pitch and catch, dude. So I'm going to be interested in to see how that dynamic plays out, because everyone's going to go, we're going to kill Zach Wilson. Well, wait a minute. How are you killing someone with a 10-yard cushion off the ball? Right. We're going to blitz. Okay. So what if he goes into rhythm throwing like Sam Howell did against the Eagles? How are you going to defend that? Your guys are off the ball.
Right. I think
So this is the philosophy thing here for me. How
Right.
are they going to handle that dynamic? Are you going to get up on the line? Are you going to walk back? Are you bringing pressure? I think they're going to do a lot of hitch passes right out of the gate. I'm talking Jets.
Yeah, the Jets, they understand their offensive line is in shambles. They're going to have a similar game plan to what the who did the Eagles play that got that ball out really, really quickly? It was what game was that? It was the
Washington.
Commanders. Yes, Washington. Yes. They're going to try to mimic that to a certain extent, right? They're going to try to limit our possessions. They're going to try to get that ball out as quick as they possibly can. So you're going to see a lot of quick slants. You're going to see a lot of crossing routes. You're going to see a lot of, throws to the flat. You're going to see them trying to get that ball out of his hands and getting him in rhythm and getting him confident. But here's the thing, right? What happens when things get off schedule? What happens when you have to deviate from the plays that you scripted, right? What happens when you have to deviate from that? I think this game I think the Eagles pull away in the third quarter. But you brought up a good point. The Eagles, especially those DBs, you have to have those guys putting pressure on those wide receivers, right? I think that, as a matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Sean Desai doesn't blitz at all in this game. You have the front four to dominate that offensive line, right? They're missing their starting right guard. Mekhi Becton is a joke. They're missing their starting left tackle and Dwayne Brown. That offensive line had problems before they even got hurt, right? So a guy like Zach Wilson, the moment you get hands and feet on him a couple times, this game's he's going to unravel. So I think this game is won and lost in the trenches. But on top of that, I think the Philadelphia Eagles have to limit the cushion that they provide to those wide receivers, so Zach Wilson can't even begin to feel confident or comfortable in that game.
How about this though? You say pull away. What game have they pulled away?
That's a good point.
Bucks?
That's a very good point. But I look at it like this, though. That's a very good point. I look at it like this. This offense is slowly but surely starting to figure out what they're trying to accomplish, right? There were many boxes.
You took that much away from that second half. Actually, that's not fair. That offense I thought was a 4-quarter. I thought it was 4 quarters.
So again, like I'm looking at it like this, right? Week 1, week 2, week 3, we had many questions about what this offensive pass attack, right? We finally saw it open up a little bit in the second half in the Washington game. And then the Rams matchup comes and you see the pass and you see them dealing, throwing the ball all over the place. A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, DeAndre Swift. You saw them using the entire field and using every blade of grass and using all the weapons at their disposal. Again, Jalen Hurts is starting to become more comfortable in his offense with this coordinator. And the passing attack is only becoming more and more lethal. I think they're starting to figure it out. They had many boxes to check early on in the season. The last box they need to check is the red zone efficiency. I think they solved that this week.
How about this? So if you're the Jets and they have the linebackers to cover Dallas Goedert here, you think it's going to – I think that one of the objections or one of the objects for them to be able to take away is going to be Dallas Goedert.
They got to prove it, though.
They're going to want to take him and put a guy on him and have him line up on him. And they're going to try to take that dynamic because the one thing that changed that whole look of that offense was him. And if they see that, there's no question that Robert Saleh is going to see that, and they're going to put their most talented linebacker on him, that kid Mosley, and they're going to line him up. I'm not saying that Dallas can't beat him. Right. I'm saying it's going to be a more difficult time getting the ball to him, and they're going to make him have to take and try to find a way to move the chain. Now, does that mean more Swift? Does that mean AJ?
I'm glad you said that.
Again, looking over to Devontae.
Think about it like this, right? They can't stop the run.
Is Dallas Goedert's got to be stopped.
Think about it like this. The Jets can't stop the run right now.
Can't.
So if you
shocking.
Right. If you put that pressure on them to have to, stack the box. See, here's the thing, right? The way the Eagles play, how much like the amount of weapons they have at their disposal, you got to pick your poison. Do you want them to run you over or do you want them to air it out against you? The Jets are pretty much stuck in a pickle. If I'm guessing, I think the Jets are going to panic and they're going to try to prevent that team from getting a running game started. And it's going to be wide open for everybody else. And also, another thing that I think doesn't get talked about enough, that Denver matchup was a very emotional game for them. There were a lot of things, riding on that matchup, right? I think their emotions were so high off that game. I think they come back down to earth this Sunday.
I want to see a full 4 quarters of football on defense.
I agree.
Now, again, do you bring pressure? Do you not bring pressure when you're talking Zach Wilson? Now, look,
I don't start off with pressure. I want to see my front four does first, and then I'll go from there.
But see, I need to help my corners right now.
Okay.
And do you agree with me what I'm saying about Slay? The reason that they're playing zone is because both those guys ain't playing hot, especially Slay.
Slay and Bradbury haven't had a great start to the season, if you ask me.
Okay, so that means something else too. That means they're maybe playing that because they don't feel pretty comfortable with what they have when it comes to depth, that they're forced to do that. And Tone, that's why teams have been able to hang around. That's why I kind of put a 26-16 number there, because until you show me that you can put teams away, you've got to prove that to me. You know,
I understand.
Most people are saying, they're going, I think this is going to be this. I think this is going to be, well, this is who you are as of right now. Now, look, we saw things go in the second half, and I agree with you. I was like this. The play calling was really good. The defensive play calling was even better. There were great signs against, and what I loved about it was it's Raheem Morris and Sean McVay you're doing this against.
And that was the biggest part for me. It's because we questioned whether this team could be, can outcoach Sean McVay. But we talked about that prior to that.
Absolutely.
In the first half, we got nervous. The second half, you saw Sean decide doing things, and McVay
I was
didn't
shocked.
have an answer. I was blown away. So that tells me, okay, there's something there with this guy Sean decide. You mentioned it earlier in the show. He's doing more with less.
Absolutely.
Jonathan Gannon would have ran to the principal's office and say, "Listen, man, I need some more guys, man. I can't handle this." So decides that, listen, y'all do your job, I'll do mine. My job is to coach these guys and put them in the best possible position to succeed. He watched that first half and said, you know what? I'm not liking what I'm seeing. I'm not liking what I'm doing. Let me tweak some things, right? And things got back in motion.
Let me throw some names at you here. And I'll throw this out to everyone else a little bit later here.
Okay.
When it comes to, here are some names of people that are going to be in the market when it comes to potential October 31st movement. Would you have any interest in Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, or the Broncos safety, Justin Simmons?
I'm looking more at, well, the safety, yes, I'm very interested in that, right? I'm looking more towards Jeremy Chin, the other safety with the Broncos, Kareem Jackson. He's a veteran, older guy. I think he's older than the other safety that you mentioned from the Broncos. But I think the Eagles do need to add they need a safety. If they can get their hands on either one of those three guys, I think the Philadelphia Eagles will be in business. I'm curious to see what the Bradley Roby move does in the long term. I need to see a couple more games out of him to see, what that really looks like. The perfect game to actually really pay attention to how Bradley Roby really fits in will be that Miami game. I don't really think we're going to really find out Bradley Roby what he's all about in the Jets game. I mean, they're not really a good passing offense at all. So I'm looking forward to see what he does in that Miami matchup, where they're really going to have to pay attention to all those boys on the perimeter. But I think the Eagles do need to target a safety in free agency. I do.
Would you give up a first and a second for Patrick Surtain, who's 23 years old?
Ooh, that is
You're not going to find a corner in next year's draft with more experience, that young. Before you say anything, Tone, he's 23.
Let me see.
The kids in the draft next year, there's some pretty good corners coming in. This guy's a proven Pro Bowler. And if you're who you think you are, you're going to be picking in. So, see, a guy like Chris goes, hell no. Well, let me throw this at you. If you're who you think you are and you're going to win a Super Bowl, it's the 32nd pick in the draft.
Got to go for it. Mm-hmm.
Would you give a 32nd pick up in the draft for a all-pro 23-year-old corner?
Okay, so he's in his rookie contract right now. He's in year 3 of his rookie deal. Since he was drafted in the first round, he gets the 5th-year option. So if the Eagles trade for him, they'll have him for the rest of 2023, 2024, 2025 if they pick up the option, and then they wouldn't have to negotiate until 2026. And then you're going to be losing Slay by then and Bradbury. I actually wouldn't put it past him to do that.
Is he 23?
Patrick Surtain is 23 years old. Yes, 23 years old. I actually wouldn't put it past him to do. And when you think about all the variables, right? Like I said, Bradbury and Slay, they're on the back 9, right? As a matter of fact, you can make an argument they're both on like the 17th or the 18th hole, honestly. So when you put it that way, see, it's all about what is. I wouldn't mind making the move It's all about what the Eagles would give up. Right?
Now, if the Eagles were in the 12th hole or the 13th hole, probably not going there. But if you're going to be one of the better teams,
that's a good point.
NFL,
If you see yourself going
if
to the
you're
Super
at
Bowl,
the bottom of the draft, Tone, and you're picking 31, 32,
I'll give that up for Patrick.
are you? It's like the top of the
that's
second
a good point.
round.
That's a good point. When you think about it from that perspective, we see Eagles fans. We got to look at it like this. We're not talking about a top 10 overall pick.
Absolutely
The
not.
Philadelphia Eagles. If we think they're as good as we think they are, they're going to be one of the final two teams to fight for the Super Bowl. So we're talking about a 31st, 32, maybe 30th overall pick, right? Would I give that up for Patrick Surtain the second and the second round pick? And you're talking about a corner that I can have for the next 7, 8 years, 10 years. I would do that. I would do that because a 32nd overall pick is one pick away from a second rounder. I mean, you're basically giving up 2 second rounders for him. So, I mean, I would do that. I would for a corner you're going to have for the next 10 years. I'm doing it. I would do that.
What was the exact exchange for AJ Brown on? Because they gave a 1-up, didn't they?
I'm about to find out right now.
They gave a 1-up for him.
Okay, so here it is. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Tennessee Titans shocked the NFL world when Tennessee shipped off their Pro Bowl wide receiver AJ Brown to the Eagles in exchange for a first and third round pick in the 2022 NFL draft. They got AJ Brown.
What was that pick?
That pick was, to be exact, because that pick became, give me 1 second. It was, all right. It was the 18th overall pick.
So you gave up the 18th overall pick for a guy who's maybe your greatest wide receiver
of all time. Of all time. That's
Princess, I would, because you will have
first and a third.
And Isaiah Rodgers.
I would pull the trigger on that because the Broncos play the Chiefs this week, and if the Chiefs smack them like we think they should, well, the Chiefs are struggling
Thursday night.
If the Chiefs beat them, the Broncos are going to be huge sellers. If Patrick Surtain's on the table, if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, I make the call. Now here's the thing though. What do you do after that with Slay and Bradbury? Right? Who's moving? Do you move Bradbury to the slot and then you put Surtain on the outside and then you have him go like how would you make that work?
How about me moving Surtain to the slot and then moving him over, because it's an easier transition in my secondary in the slot to get him on the field quicker than playing corner in a defense that he hasn't played yet. You can plug and play.
You allow him to travel as well in that
slot. That's right, and he's able to be more of a center fielder.
I like where you're going with this, Sills.
And then you get the entire offseason and OTAs to move him back to his natural position.
And you still got the rookie contract at your disposal.
Correct.
And we're already anticipating.
And you can franchise him for 2 times on that if you had to.
And on top of that, there's a chance Slay won't even be here next year. I'm actually anticipating this being Slay's last year here.
It is.
So when you think about it from that perspective, you got a corner for the next 10 years. I would do that. And also, what corner can you draft in the first round? Because the Eagles are going to be in the search for a corner in these next couple drafts.
Well, the kid Kool-Aid.
What corner can you draft that's going
to be one of the top kids?
But think about the start.
Dude, I'm not.
Think about the startup cost, right?
Kool-Aid versus Patrick Surtain, and he's 23, and the other guy's 21. No dice. That guy's an all-pro.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm pulling the trigger because there's no corner I can draft that's going to be ready to do what I need. What Patrick Surtain can do for me right now. So I would make that move again. A 32nd overall, 31st, 30th overall pick for Patrick Surtain. I'm pulling that trigger.
See, here's what Denver then though is going to look at it as. They're going to want it as a contingency pick because they're going to go like this. What if the Eagles do finish and they win the Super Bowl? That pick becomes the 32nd pick. Mm-hmm. There's got to potentially maybe even be, hey, personally,
they may want to play.
Denver may want 2 1s or maybe 2 2s, a 1, 2, and a 3. Plus a player or something, because
that might be too steep for Howie. 2
we're not talking about Houston here.
That might be too steep for Howie. 2 1s.
Yeah, but is that a premium position that Howie spends money on? And
he's shown that he does.
It is.
He's shown. You're right. The Eagles spend money on quarterback. They spend money on left tackle. Well, O-line. They spend money on O-line.
And he's a premium player.
See, I know what I would do. But what would we got to think how would
Yeah,
Howie
that's
make
correct.
this move?
But
Right?
see, I'm staying in a sandbox, like you said, edge rusher, corners,
Mhm.
wideouts. He'll spend money and assets.
And the move gives them flexibility. And if you and also if you anticipate yourself being contenders, trading first overall, trading a first round pick, and if you're expected to be in the 30s, is it really that much of a loss? Are you willing to? Is
No.
Howie Roseman willing to sacrifice 2 first round picks over the next 2 years for Patrick Surtain? I think he would.
How about this too? Help me out on this one. You know, some people that are watching us right now are under the impression Surtain is worth the top 10 pick. Absolutely. I would say this to you. Some people are valuing that 32nd pick more so than Patrick Surtain. That's a freaking joke. That's not even remotely close. Name me a cornerback that Howie Roseman has ever drafted.
Good point. Howie Roseman has not. That's even more to your point, right? The Philadelphia Eagles have not had good luck in terms of drafting corners. As a matter of fact, the last corner that they drafted in the first round that was worth anything was Lito Shepherd, and even then, people still felt like he was overdrafted. So, if we're basing this off of the Philadelphia Eagles history,
And how long ago did Lito Shepherd play?
that was like in the 2000s, man. So that's a while ago. You know what I mean?
So we're talking almost 18 years ago.
Yeah. Honestly, if we're basing this off of Howie Roseman's trajectory and the moves he's made, I wouldn't put it past him to trade, to trade for another corner.
And he's an SEC guy.
And he's an SEC guy, and he has the Alabama connection with Devontae Smith and those boys. So that's an interesting move. I'm willing to do it.
The 32nd pick, probably because Denver. Here's where Denver is with this right now. Denver's probably going to get either the second, could potentially even get the first pick, depending if they put up the white flag or not. If they get killed by Kansas City, I think the U-Hauls are backed up. And I think they're going to back up a lot of these guys. This guy, Justin Simmons, he's a really good football player, dude. He can play. He's a good-looking safety, too. I'd be not adverse to try to do something to try to move that guy. But the thing with Surtain here, hey, man, here's the 32nd pick. That means they'll have 32 and 2. You could maybe even parlay that 32nd into another top 15 pick somehow with a trade of another player like maybe Jerry Jeudy, and you could get yourself 3 ones. Because here's the problem, Tone, with Denver. They're not taking a quarterback. Do you know that Russell Wilson's escalators haven't even kicked in yet? They kick in next year, which means you have 3 years of unbelievable dead cap money that approaches $70 million a year on the cap for you cannot move off of him. Drafting Caleb Williams is fool's gold thinking. You have to put as many talented players, and then 2 years out, you're going to have to learn to live with this guy. Draft a guy down the road here because you're not going to draft a quarterback. You got to have guys play now if you're Sean Payton. You know, Sean Payton could do this too, Tone. Hey, I never signed that deal. The general manager, when you go to the owner, I never signed that deal with this guy. This wasn't my guy. You brought me in here to clean this shit up. Okay.
That's a good point. Let's find out the details of that deal, right? So, whoa, they are stuck. Okay, so they have a potential out in 2026 with a dead cap hit of $31.2 million. That's the bet. And then
what year is that?
2026. You're right. 3 years. They're stuck with this guy for 3 years.
Away of having to eat all that. Look at those. Look at the money that it's a cap hit on. Tell the folks what the cap hit is on Denver.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you the dead cap hits, right? In 2023, if they decided to part ways with him now, they have a $107 million cap hit. Dead cap hit.
On a $218 million cap payroll.
If they parted ways with him in 2024, $85 million cap hit. If they parted ways with him in 2025, a $49.6 million cap hit. And then in 2026, it drops to 31.2. In 2027, 12.8. So they really don't have a potential out until 2026. They're stuck with this guy for 3 years.
And that's why they need to make moves to get first rounders right now. And they've got to get the most for guys like Patrick Surtain, you're probably keeping him because he's probably a centerpiece on your team moving forward. But if people are offering ones to you and twos and threes, the only way they're going to save that thing is getting high-end draft choices 1, 2, and 3. That's how you're going to turn that thing around because the quarterback situation, look what happened. Do you understand, Tone? And I don't think the people in Philadelphia understand this. This could be you.
You know what's so interesting about it too, man?
Because get this, how he constructed that same deal you read to me, the same deal that you just read was constructed for him. He vetoed it. The Philadelphia Eagles could easily be right now the Denver Broncos.
That's a good point. And also, we can't overlook how desperate the Broncos may be right now. Think about it like this. They gave up so many assets, so many first-round picks to bring in Russell Wilson. I think they're willing to take any first rounders that they can get. So
and for the coach, they had to give New Orleans one. Hey, Christopher, don't forget Smith and Surtain will need to get paid the same year. Hard to do that with O-line getting paid along with AJ. Yeah, but here's the thing, Christopher.
Interesting, Chris. That's interesting.
But here's the thing. You can also franchise tag Patrick Surtain. You can tag him. You don't have to give him you could give him 1 year you could give him little bumps and bonuses like that, depending on how important the kid is to you. By the way, if I got a guy like Patrick Surtain, I'm going to pay that guy. If I could pay Darius Slay $18 million, Tone, think about this. If I'm going to pay Darius Slay $18 million when I first brought him here, or $16 million, I'm going to pay Patrick Surtain 22 at 23. He's a better player than Slay. He's a better player than Slay ever was.
Surtain is amazing, man. You know, I'm looking at it like this too. I mean, he did bring up a good point about the fact that, you know, they're going to have to pay some people around that time. But they're going to have to pay Landon Dickerson too. So
and Devontae.
Landon, Devontae. This is really interesting. That's why I think
Swift.
Even though Patrick Surtain is a dream, I think they're more likely to go for a safety. Just because if they did trade for,
they need a corner, dude. A corner has to be a priority in that April draft.
This is going to be so interesting to see how it plays out because Howie Roseman definitely has some work to do. But the way the Jalen Hurts contract is set up, they're going to have some flexibility, and the Dallas Goedert contract is going to expire soon. I'll be honest, Sills. I really don't know what they're going to do, but I think they're going to go after a guy who maybe 1 year left in their deal that they can get rid of after the fact. Surtain, as much as I would like that move, it seems a little tricky.
How about this, Tone? You put a guy like Surtain, though, in your back end.
No, I'm with you. I would love to have Surtain.
Doesn't that push you even further away from the Cowboys?
That's a good point. And also, Dirty D brought up a good point as well. They did sign that corner that's going to be available next year. So
you got Isaiah Rodgers and Patrick Surtain replacing those two guys, and those two young players are going to be there for the next 7+ years. And you got lockdown corners, and you got corners this time that ain't going to play just zone, that could get up in your grill and play press coverage and help your – I'm telling you, man, a 32nd pick. I can't believe Eagle fans look at the 32nd pick and look at Howie's history at drafting corners like he's been great at it. He has blown at two things, wide receivers and corners. He hit Devontae, but every other wide receiver that he's drafted has been a train wreck.
Yeah, and I look at it like this too. The Philadelphia Eagles, we're in the business of Super Bowls right now. So
are you?
The way I see it, we got anything is expendable from a draft perspective. I'm trying to win the Super Bowl right now. So if I can get a player that can change the entire complexion of my defense, I got to do that. I think Howie Roseman was looking at it like this. The same thing he did last year with Ndamukong Suh and all those boys. He knew that I need to make a move. Robert Quinn, even though we didn't really get much out of him, he's looking at it like I need to make a move to push myself. Think about the 49ers. They traded for CMC last year. They knew they were that close. I wouldn't put it past Howie to make a home run move like that. I would not, because he's looking at this defense and he sees the weaknesses. The weaknesses is in the DB room. He's going to make a move. It's either going to be a safety or a corner.
Absolutely. Tone, great stuff, my friend.
Absolutely, my
stuff.
man. I appreciate you as always, sir.
Thank you very much. That's our good friend, Tone. Absolutely. Hey, guys, do me a favor. Make sure you go to our good friends at Hooters in the Northeast area, man. NortheastHooters.com. Thank you guys so much for being the official title sponsor of the National Football Show with Big Sills. We so appreciate it. Look, 40-year tradition that we've been involved with all those years. We know pretty much everybody at the company. We love them, man. If you don't want to go into any one of the locations, get HootersToGo.com. Go right there on the app. They'll bring the food out to you. The iconic Hooter girls will bring that out to you, man. Fantastic stuff. If you want to go in, do me a favor. Try some of the great 40-year traditions. Buy 10 wings, get 10 boneless free. How about Wing Wednesdays, man? 1983, all you can eat. Kids eat for free on Saturdays. Go to NortheastHooters.com. That's NortheastHooters.com to find one of the great locations nearest to you. Fall football and Hooters. What a better time right now. When you go in, do me a favor, tell them Big Sil sent you.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild wood days.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, Birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com. EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sills National Football Show. We appreciate it. We're going to look at even more names as they get closer to the trading deadline. Let me ask you, what does Howie Roseman do with Nakobe Dean as you get closer to game day? How would you handle this situation? Both backers are playing. I would give a grade. If I were to give a grade on the linebacker play right now, shockingly, a C+. Probably C+. Somewhere there. I personally, I thought it was going to be a disaster F. Okay? C+. Somewhere in there. What do you do with Nakobe Dean, your so-called steal in the third round? What do you do with him? Dean starts for Cunningham, but you circulate him. You mean you rotate him. Trade him? How do you trade him when you don't even know what he has? That's your green dot? Well, you're in trouble. Nakobe Dean, I hate to do this to you guys. I think he's exactly who I thought he was. This is going to be one of the craziest evaluations of a guy. According to reports, the Eagles have been working Dean out with Cunningham in practice today. They're going to take Nicholas Morrow out. And they're going to put him back in. Howie vision. Here's my assessment of Nakobe Dean. He's a talented kid who's not built for the NFL. And you guys can talk about all of his brains and his smarts, and he's not built for the NFL. You're going to take a guy out because you cut him. And Tone, what's that number that Pro Football Focus said about Nicholas Morrow and where he is? So you're now taking reps away from a guy who was improving as a player and a guy who was making a move to keep that job. And you're going to start taking reps away from him so that you can be right with your draft choice. Keon goes, some BS stat. All right, let's just say it. That guy's not built for the NFL. He's not built for it. Try that stat. Always hurt. Never finishes games. He can't even get through a practice. He couldn't even get through the first half. Taking Morrow out is a crime, but I know Dean will continue to prove people wrong. When has he proven anything? He can't get on the field. And when he does, he can't stay on the field. That's right, AZ. Dean has hardly played. Why? Because he's always hurt. How can you develop somebody when they can't stay healthy? Dean has played what? He was terrible when he was in the game. He was terrible. Look at what they just did. Nicholas Morrow, with his deeds on the field, has proven he deserves a starting assignment versus the Jets, but they don't care. So they're going to, because their personnel office, and I'll say this right to everyone here, their personnel office has more power than the coaching staff. They make game day decisions. The coaches don't. Prime ass example is right there. This is everything I've said about your organization. This is why you're 21-1 with a silver medal. This is why you've won one title in 30 years. You can't win Super Bowls multiple from the owner's box. Or the general manager's suite. Facts. You're going to take a guy out who's played his ass off and getting better because you drafted a guy in the third round. You want to be right. I mean, Derek Barnett, when you pass out GI bills, it's like for 6 years, you got a GI bill and shit like that. This guy's like on a GI bill, man. Or he's like on scholarship or something they gave him like a 6-year scholarship with the Eagles. I mean, because they drafted him in the first round, Howie doesn't want to look like shit. So he begged him to take less money so he could keep him on the team so he could look good. Look, I got him to take less money. Why don't you just move him? He's useless. Well, he's depth. Really. One thing I would look at with Derek Barnett, I would look at him and go, he's depth. He's dead weight. He's dead weight. Man, another first rounder bites the dust. But I got to keep him because I drafted him. I can't look bad. I can't look bad with a guy in Nicholas Morrow who's playing well. And I even thought he sucked. But he's come on. You got to give him his kudos. The Eagles even cut him. Holy cow. Toad's like, wait a minute. What's going on here? Hey, where's Nick Sirianni say? Is Nick good with that move? If you were a head coach, would you be good with that move? Would you really make that decision and go, well, I'm going to play a guy who hasn't played in a month and didn't play any last year, and I'm going to put him in there? Hey, I think that's the right move. How do you know who he is? Yeah, at least the kid Morrow's been playing good ball. He's ranked like 5th as one of the top LBs in the NFL right now. Yeah, like you guys say, stats. Oh, man. This guy has sucked. Steve goes, hey, why bust on Howie? He won us a Super Bowl. Always good to hang your hat on that thing. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. That 7-year thing ago. Congratulations to you. Now I know why Eagle fans hung their hat on that 1960 title. Keep reversing back to that. According to John McMullen, Morrow's current number is 5 in Pro Football Focus and linebackers interior. They're going to take him out of the starting lineup. Oh, my God. What a front office move that is. Nate Sudfeld must be cheering. Holy cow, man. Woo! Man, woo. Watch this, too. Watch him come in and have 11 tackles and Howie start parading. Hey, you see Howie on the sidelines in the Rams game? It was Los Angeles. He had to. You saw him. I know you did. You see Howie on the sidelines in L.A.? I'm the architect. I run this bitch. Hey, did you see him on the sidelines? I thought seriously, I thought he was going to run out to the middle of the field so the cameras could get on him. He was looking for a camera, man. I mean, I don't know who looks for a camera more. Okay. No, he was looking for a camera. Yes, sir, man. I'm over here. This is my team. I built it. It's L.A. He ain't doing that in Tennessee. He's not jumping out in front of the camera in Tennessee. This guy's like Paris Hilton. I'm over here. Kim Kardashian. This guy loves him some Howie, man. I'm a rock star. The Rock, that's what we're going to call him. Hey, man, rockstar GM, Howie Roseman. Say Nutsfeld. I mean, Nate Sudfeld. Sup, silly Roni. Nate, hey, Nate, I'll always love Nate Sudfeld. One of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of Philadelphia Eagle football. Has to be. If you could sit Jalen Hurts for Nate Sudfeld, because we got to get a look, must have been important. Nate Sudfeld. As of October 4th, Nicholas Morrow, via Pro Football Focus, defensive grade, number 3, 84.9, tackle grade, number 5, 86.3, coverage grade. Wow, these are really good numbers, man. Number 12, 71.8, pressures, number 3, 6 sacks, number 2, 3, and you're going to sit him. Oh, my God. Wait, you're going to share time with him, with a guy who can't play. Or, wait a minute, I'll even take that back. Who can't stay on the field? Holy cow. Woo! Yes, sir, baby. Got to get my guy because, you know, he's the steal of the draft. That's what y'all keep telling me. Yeah. So wait a minute. Guys like JM are going, those rankings are ridiculous. So is the ranking for Jalen Hurts as the number 3 guy in the NFL with NFL.com, is that a joke too? Because Carson Wentz had the same one 3 years earlier or 5 years earlier. He had the same ranking as number 3 in the NFL. So is that a joke too? Or only when it applies? This is fun. Yeah. Howie being Howie. This is the kind of shit right here, man, that hurts you. Man, Howie could get you to, Howie could get you to the Super Bowl. He sure can. He just ain't going to win it. If they make that move, benching him, mark my words, no Super Bowl. Dean, hey, get this. Look at Scott. Dean has been solid. When was that? He sucks. He was terrible. No, he was good. Good? Morrow's better. If they make that move, benching him, mark my words, no Super Bowl. How about this? You guys are telling me that Dean was good. This guy's playing above good. So you're still going to sit him for good. You're contradicting yourself. Sileo's always contradicting. You're contradicting yourself. You're going to take the better player out. A guy who's playing a better player. He's playing better football. You're going to take him out to put a guy in who hasn't played and hasn't really shown anything yet. Sports radio, I feel like Quz Watkins for a big game this week. Hey, dude, the only big game that Quz Watkins will have on his Madden game, it won't be on a football field because you have to actually fight for something on a football field, okay? That guy couldn't win a pillow fight. He couldn't win a pillow fight. I think sports radio sniffing magic markers. Quz Watkins, one of my least favorite football players in the league. Yes, sir, baby. How about this? Wait a minute here. What's the guy saying about the general manager here? Sills may as well become the GM of the Eagles. No, Pietro. I'm sure you probably think that Howie's right to bench Morrow and put a guy who hasn't played in a month in. You're right. You can't even justify that. He's got the green dot. It was given to him. Nothing earned. He didn't earn that job. It was given to him. Nicholas Morrow earned the job. And they're taking it away because of politics. NFL politics. By the way, that's not isolated to the Eagles. Tonin, so you guys know, that's not isolated to the Eagles. That's an NFL thing. If you're not drafted to that respected organization, the chances of a UDFA or a free agent coming to your team, the chances of you making the squad or being a starter is twice as less as the guy who was drafted by that respected GM to make the club. That's an NFL politics thing. That's not just isolated in Philly. That's everywhere across the gamut. Okay? All 32 teams operate like that. Why? Because general managers today have 10 times the power they did back in my time. They run the team. Look at Tom Telesco. You think Brandon Staley's got any say in that organization? This is all set up by the – do you notice how the league is set up today? You got Howie Roseman's, Tom Telesco's, you've got Eric DeCosta's, you've got guys all over, Joe Douglas, Andrew Barry. You got all these guys that now have more say. Why? Because they're the mouthpiece for the owners. You pay them, you're going to play them. An NFL coach like Parcells or Johnson or whomever, they don't give a shit how much money they're paying you. That's what's happening in Pittsburgh right now. Do you understand that? The reason that Pittsburgh is not where they are, they're paying players right now that they have to play that Mike Tomlin doesn't want to pay or play. And that's why they're mediocre and 500. The Steelers never gave a shit about that stuff. They do now because there's so much economics now with the salary cap at around $220 million. These general managers run all these teams today. Of course, New England, Kansas City, Seattle, places like that. Yeah, of course, you still got those high-end coaches. But Parcells, those guys aren't around anymore. When Belichick right now, the problem with Belichick, do you know what they're going to do with him? They're not going to fire him as a coach. They're going to fire many of his responsibilities as personnel people, and they're going to get him help. That's how they're going to save him. He's not going to have complete control of the personnel in the football department anymore. You know, when Nick Caserio left the New England Patriots, hey, let me just throw this at you here. Think about what has happened. Tone, just double check this if you can for me. Nick Caserio's down now in the Houston Texans, right? Okay. You know where Nick Caserio was prior to that? He was in New England. And he was up there helping them pick draft picks, free agents, bringing them in. Scott Pioli was up there. You had Scott Pioli and Nick Caserio helping Belichick, along with those coaches like Romeo Crennel and all them guys that were up there, helping him look at personnel, professionally, pro personnel, and college personnel. Well, he ain't got that shit up there anymore. What's happened to the Houston Texans? The Houston Texans are getting better because Caserio's now down with the Texans as the general manager. And now you've seen the Texans make a turn. Quarterback looks good. Will Anderson's up for the Rookie of the Year award defensively. That's why Belichick is having problems. He's having problems with personnel. It's not the same thing. It's not just a Brady thing. It's a 53-man roster thing. That's the problem. And here's the other problem that you have in Philly that is almost a microcosm of what you have in Dallas and in New England. When you have that kind of power, you get in the way. You overcoach Jalen, and you're overthinking your roster. I will be a menace on Twitter if they bench Morrow. Hey, look, right? Look, you guys are dead on. You guys are spot on nails when it comes to Howie Roseman as a really good GM. But when you have that kind of power, man, He's so involved in everything. Coaching hires, pro personnel, college. The type of game plan, who should be active and not. Do we all agree that that opening day game where they had Kenny Gainwell as the prime running back in that game was not a Nick Sirianni call? It was a Howie Roseman call. That wasn't Nick's decision. That was a Roseman decision. Then they realized, whoa, Swift is good. Holy shit. You know, that's why they said we're going with the hot hand. Who said that Gainwell would be the hot hand to feature him in the opening drive of the year? How did you know he would be the hot hand? Why wouldn't you start Swift? Howie said no. Let me ask you this. How many people in here believe that Howie Roseman was telling Doug Peterson who to play on Thursdays and who would be active for the Sunday roster? I happen to actually know this. I just want to see what you guys say. Did Howie tell Doug Peterson who to play on Sundays? Yes or no? This goes to the reason I'm bringing this up, because this goes to what we're talking about right now with Morrow and with Dean. Steve goes, I think he did. Yes. Yes. Joey, yes. Rob, yes. You're right. He did. That was the bitch. Because when you're paying people, you got to play them. Doug didn't care. He wanted to play the guys that he thought were better matchups on a week-to-week basis. Howie couldn't continue to work like that. And that's why that thing unraveled. This is why Nick probably is a better coach. How about this? Not a better coach, a better fit in Philly than Doug was at the end. I wonder, because of the personality that Nick has, he continues to keep winning. Say he does win a Super Bowl, he's going to go down the same line as Doug Peterson. And he's going to want more control, or he's going to want out too. You're being told what to do with your own team. You have no say. That's why he falls on the sword for his coordinators. And here, this move here is another great example of how the front office is telling him who to play. Like Tone said, let's just say that Morrow starts. All of a sudden, you start seeing Dean getting playing time. Why would he get playing time? He hasn't earned it. I'm just not going to give a guy playing time because you drafted him in the third round. Unless Morrow's play starts to falter, that's when you put him in. You don't put him in when a guy's playing well. You're trying to keep that continuity going. Aren't you? Or no? Or is this really about just building your team? Well, we'll be better in the end with it. The end? You got to beat the Jets first. That's the shit that you guys have always been great at. Not looking down the road. That's why general managers' jobs, do we not agree, guys? Their job is to have a foresight of what's to come. Football players look at 1 week, 1 day, 1 game, 1 half. That's their job. They don't look, well, we'll be better in the end. They look at the task at hand, which is the Jets. Okay? Now, look, how much of an issue do I think this is? Well, you could make Zach Wilson look better than he isn't. And get this, it's not even because I really don't think the kid sucks. I just think the kid needs more playing time and more reps. them saving him in the exhibition season was the most asinine thing on the planet. You gave him a green dot. You played him 7 plays in the exhibition season. And then you said, we're ready to roll. And he hadn't played it down all year previous to that, but maybe 17 snaps. That's not preparation. And OTAs and organized practices, we're not going to get that kid ready. He was not ready. You saw him when he was in there. He wasn't ready. They were targeting him. Are you sure Dean's better than Morrow? Why would you take that chance right now? Look, I'll say this to you. I'll totally say this to you. If that kid starts faltering, I'm talking Morrow, I have no problem putting him in. See, the only thing, once again, the only thing that Nicholas Morrow has done is put himself in the game. That's the only thing. Shahid goes, Dean was born ready. Not for the NFL, he's not. He's not built for it. He has not. Do you know the one thing that I'm convinced already that he has proven? He's not built for the NFL physically. You can't tell me any other thing other than that. I don't even know if he's good. He's not physically built for the NFL. He's always hurt. Ankle injury that kept him out of, like, what was it? 2 weeks, 3 weeks of practice? Get this. So he missed 3 weeks of practice over an ankle injury. Then the first game he gets taken out and he misses a month. You think this guy's, and he comes into the league with a shoulder injury. Oh, you're right. He's built for it. He goes like this. He's the same size as Morrow. Some guys are built for it. Some guys aren't. No, you're right. You're right, Shahid. Dean has showed that he's a healthy player. You're right. This guy wants you to lie to him. 85 goes, Dan, did you see CBS saying that Jaylen Carter should be an all-pro consideration through 5 weeks? I completely agree. If I were to pick the 2 starting defensive tackles, I'll tell you what, that Quentin Williams has walked backwards a little bit. I'll take that kid in Washington, and I'll take Jaylen Carter as my 2 Pro Bowlers on the NFC side. I'd rather see Cunningham. I think Cunningham's playing good too. I don't think he's not playing poorly. Why would you put a guy in who's missed a month who hasn't shown you he can play? So, again, this goes to that test why would you gamble and test yourself and do that and, like, put a guy out there on training wheels when you're so close to the Super Bowl? Why would you gamble like that when you don't need to? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you take a guy out like that? Because general managers look at the end game. Football players and coaches are supposed to look at the game they're playing. Howie's trying to do both. And that, to me, is the disconnect at times. That's why you've only won 1 Super Bowl in 30 years and the 30th anniversary of Jeffrey Lurie owning the team. There's too many voices in the room. Okay? Actually, there's one voice in the room, and it's not the head coach. You know, the one thing I used to love about Kevin Colbert when he ran the Steelers, and even Neil Donahue, who ran the Steelers, you guys may like this. You know what their objective was? They were the boss in the offseason. They put the team together. They helped in the hiring of coaches. But the Steelers all had a say in who was going to be their assistant coaches. Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin all hired their own assistant coaches. Now, the Steelers will do what I tell you that Howie does. They'll put a list of about 20 names on a sheet, right? About 20 names, and you get to pick from them because they also want to feel comfortable with the assistants coming in. All right? They'll all agree on about 20 names, and Mike Tomlin will pick somebody and go, I want Lovie Smith. I worked with him before. Everybody in the room's going to go, great. He's a great talent evaluator. He knows what he's talking about. He worked with Monty Kiffin. They worked in the coaching staff down with Tony Dungy and Tampa. Everyone's going to be on the same page. Here, I'll tell you exactly. When they hired two coaches are on that coaching staff in Pittsburgh that I know how it went. And you know what? Mike Tomlin hired him. Your guy didn't hire any coach. Carl Dunbar, the D-line coach, was my teammate. And Alfredo Roberts is the tight end coach in Pittsburgh. And he was my teammate at the University of Miami. Mike Tomlin brought him in, had dinner with him. They talked. Then they met the Rooneys. They said, I want him. He goes, okay. Hired him. Same thing with Carl Dunbar. Carl Dunbar was at the University of Alabama as a D-line coach and brought him up. By the way, Carl Dunbar was at Alabama when Stoutland was down there. Brought him up. Tomlin wanted him. Jeff Stoutland spoke for him. Hired him. So did Saban. Jeff Stoutland got my friend Carl Dunbar, the D-line coach, helped him get that D-line coaching job in Pittsburgh. Do you know that? Dan, do you think Desai will pull Dean if he starts shitting the bed at the Jets game? That's where I do think the coaches have some say. Okay? Yes. Yes. Again, though, you put yourself in an awkward position. Why am I here pulling a guy? Also, now you got to go into a football game against the Jets with a different play caller on defense once he's in there. Even when he gets in there. So say you have Dean in 3rd and long, and he's subbing in for Morrow. You really think he's going to know what to do with an offense in the NFL when he's never really played a full NFL game at Mike? Do you really believe that? He's going to know. You know what he's going to do? He's going to set the defense early, which a move like that makes Zach Wilson look better. I have not seen one redeeming quality about Nakobe Dean and his play or his health that makes me think he's an NFL Mike linebacker. Not one thing. Likeable kid. His college career has nothing to do with where he is today. I don't care. That's old news. What he's done as an Eagle has been underwhelming because he hasn't had an opportunity. You can say that, but that's part of it. Hey, Bo Jackson was one of the greatest running backs in the history of the game, but injuries cut that thing short, right? Well, that's part of it too. Tony Baselli was one of the greatest offensive linemen of all time. Only played 9 years. Thankfully, he made it to the Hall of Fame. Still, it's part of it. Sills, are you a Butkus Award voter? I sure am, and I did vote for him. I vote for every college football award in the country. I am on I'll show you the card too, that proves it. I vote for every college football award. Not an award, Maxwell Award. I know JAKIB puts it on. I vote for all those. Coach of the Year. All of that. Not an award. Outland Trophy. There's my Outland football. Right back there. All of it. Heisman. I have for 15 years. Okay? I vote for the NFL alumni MVP and defensive player and offensive player of the year and coach of the year awards. You know those NFL shows you see at the end? I have a vote in that. I know. Must be rough. By the way, we are at the top of the hour going to look more at some of the names that could be out there in free agent, okay? Q says Purdy will be a $60 million man. The Niners if he wins a Super Bowl, let me tell you why. Hey, Q, let me tell you why Brock Purdy is the MVP of the 49ers and the league right now. Okay? Look at what he's done. He has saved John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan a ton of money in not having to pay for anybody at the quarterback position. This guy doesn't make what kickers and punters make. He saved those two men on the Trey Lance deal. He's spreading the ball out now like he's the first pick in the draft. He's playing like Joe Burrow did when Burrow went to the Super Bowl. He's a seventh rounder. The latitude that, don't you guys see it? They're on the brink of a dynasty. Why? Okay, here. Do you know how many years the Patriots got with Brady being a sixth round pick to build the team up? They got 4 years to build that team up. Tom Brady was never the highest paid player in the history of the league during his time in New England, ever. He was never the highest. He never got near the highest. He reinvested in the team. That was the rub at the end, is because he had been given all that money back and there wasn't a lot of talent at the end. Russell Wilson was a third-round pick. Tavares Jackson. I don't know if you remember this name, Tone. Tavares Jackson, for 2 years, made more money than Russell Wilson, and Wilson went to 2 Super Bowls. Once they started paying him, they had to dismantle the team. And that's why they never won again. It's not just about him playing well. It's the money. You're not paying him. You've got basically 2.5 years of rent-free money where you don't have to spend $400 million on one guy. You only have to spend $2 million on one guy. And it's the quarterback. It's how you build. Look at how they built the Eagles. The Eagles had 2 years, actually 3 years. Am I right, Tone? The Eagles have had 3 years of Jalen Hurts, really non-big money. Same with Kansas City, really, in a way, because that kicked in just a couple years ago. Now they're paying them. That's why there's nobody there. It's the money. It's not so much that this guy's Joe Montana or something. They're winning, and they're winning big, and they're not having to pay him. That's how you build a dynasty. Because you can build and pay Nick Bosa. You can get Javon Hargrave. You can get all those guys when you're paying a guy $960,000 a year. Quz Watkins makes more money than Brock Purdy. Try that out. Again, the added thing to the whole puzzle here is he is playing well. And he is playing great. He's playing better than Justin Herbert. Look at the money they just gave him. Dude, 3 first-rounders. He saved that franchise. You may get this. If you put Brock Purdy on the open market right now, he'd be 3 first-rounders. You put Trey Lance on the open market, he's a 7th-rounder. Best. You put Zach Wilson on the open market, he's a 6th-rounder. Best. You put Sam Darnold on the open market, he's a free agent. Shit. You put Trevor Lawrence on the open market, is he the first pick in the draft? Or is he maybe the 15th pick in the draft? How many of the quarterbacks that have been drafted in the NFL have increased their value the way Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy have? Look at Dak. He went up, then he went back down again. The top quarterbacks who have increased their value, let me see. Has Justin Herbert really improved his value? Or is he kind of still right where he was? Top 10 kind of guy? I guess. Does Shanahan get to a Super Bowl this year, or does he fail the bar again? It looks good every year, but he's got to finish. The quarterback situation when, again, I'm going to never do this to you guys. Well, you know, if he would have had Brock Purdy, they'd have beat you. That's not part of it, man. You play a football game, and Hassan Reddick, why would you diminish anything? That's why when the Niner fans are crying like that, because they didn't have their quarterback in that NFC title game, well, defend them better. That's like telling a boxer in a heavyweight fight, hey, guess what? If I didn't get knocked out, I'd have beat you. I mean, really? Am I right? Right, Tone? That's like going like this. I'd have beat that guy if I didn't get knocked out. We got to put your hands up, kid. I mean, you know, defending yourself is also part of it. I mean, hey, dude, I'd have kicked your ass if you didn't knock me out in the first round. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. No shit, man. I hate that. Hey, dude. Yeah, you can start talking like the Cowboys. Hey, I'm better than you. You just got floored. Did you just not get embarrassed? No. That's what the Cowboys are doing right now. The Cowboys, hey, get this. The Eagles are concerned with the way that they're playing, and they're 5-0. The Cowboys like how they're playing. I mean, dude, you can't get any more of a different opinion of how you look at yourself than Philly. Philly hates how they're playing as players right now. They know they can play better, and they want to play better. Dallas doesn't look at the record and goes, we're just as good as them, even though they get killed by Arizona. If you didn't drop 42 points on me in 3 quarters, we would have beat you, I swear. I know, Tone. That's the guy that comes up to me in a bar. Hey, Sills, I was all city. You should have seen me, man. I was all city, Cherry Hill. Unbelievable, man. If I didn't get hurt, I'd have been right there with you, brother. Right there at Miami playing right next to you and Jerome. Would have been crazy great. We would have been wonderful. Well, what happened, dude? I hurt my knee when I was playing JV. And, then, I came back. I was really honorable mention 3 times all city. And, honorable mention all city. All city Cherry Hill? Yeah, we played Pennsauken a lot too, Played the Catholic schools in the area. Did that too. So you blew your knee out in a JV game. Yeah. I came back though and made honorable mention all city Cherry Hill. Okay. I'd have been right there with you, dog. Oh my God. Hey, I was all city Bucko, Helen Keller highs, all-time passing leader. I twisted my ankle. I was never the same. Absolutely, man. You should have seen me at Chillicothe High in Illinois playing against Tiscawah. It was insane. Tiscawah against what? Yeah, Geneseo, Tiscawah. You should have seen us, man. It was amazing. Amazing, man. We would have won. We would have run the Rock Island. We would have run the Rock Island City Crown. Promise you. But I blew my knee out. Okay, kid. Pokai scored 4 TDs. I know, man. I got more respect for Al Bundy. I know, man. I love those guys in bars. Yes, I was all city. Well, that's great, man. Where were you all sitting? Just a little place outside of like Milwaukee. Sorry? Yeah, you mean Milwaukee? No. It's a town outside of Milwaukee called Milwaukee. Yeah, we didn't wear helmets. We wore headdresses. What did you guys play for every year? Oh, we played for the Ultimate Peace Pipe. Oh, what happened? I got hurt on the bench, man. It was crazy. That was the YMCA all-time leading sacker. Oh, man, I love those guys. I bet you Quan is one of them guys. Quan, hey, let me tell you this. Senor, if you go to the YMCA in Philly, I guarantee you see Quan's face up there, man. He's the all-time pickleball champion for YMCA. Guarantee it. Parsons was swapping jerseys with Christian McCaffrey after a 42-10 blowout loss. Hey, man. I'm sorry, I wasn't that guy. I don't shake hands after wins or losses. That ain't a lot of YMCA all city guys in here. Hey, Sills, you should have seen me at the Jackie Robinson YMCA. They got my pictures everywhere. Really? They put your picture up? No, I posted them. Oh, okay. Oh, man. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I'll leave your boy alone. I won't hurt his feelings, man. You know, that guy cries. Takes credit, too, man. See this guy going around? This guy goes around taking credit because, I don't know. I need a show. Hey, I need a show. Hey, man, you know what? I carry Silio's show. hey, Tone, I carry Silio's show, you know. I need to, get paid for this because I carry it. Hey, Quan, you stand on a anthill, guy. Quan All-Pro in the church league. Yeah, and then what you get after that, you get to go to IHOP. You get a golden meal. You get a golden meal ticket when you're like the all-church league guy. Big Seals, did you ever try out for Wheel? Wheel, you don't know the story. I'll quickly say it to you. I was brought in by the Eagles. And everything was lined up for me to sign with you guys. Unfortunately, you guys didn't play very well against New York, and he got benched. I walk in there, Jerome goes, Buddy, and I had known Buddy. And he goes like this, you think I want another MF or you one of you around here? I know who you are. You know I know who you are. I looked at Jerome Brown. I go, you mother. And he looked at me and goes, I know exactly. You think I want you two guys rolling around here like this? I don't need two assholes like you two guys. I could barely take his ass. This was in the hallway walking out to practice. The general manager had papers for me to sign with the Eagles. He looks at me and he goes like this. And I'm sitting here and I go, I had signed him. You think I want another guy like you around here? You think I want another mother effer like you? And I went, I put my head down. I looked at Jerome. He goes, this guy, this fat ass was lazy. And he looked at me. I go, what happened? He goes, he benched me in the Monday night game. It was a Monday night game where the Giants beat them, and he played so bad, and Buddy Ryan yanked him. And I'm sitting there going like this. Put me on an airplane. I went to Dallas and I signed with the Cowboys. Man. Oh, yeah. Look at Keon. Jerome Brown's not a black guy. Brothers don't look at that. Only to you. He's a black guy. Jerome Brown's not a black guy. He's not a black guy. That's so disrespectful to call Jerome Brown a black guy. Jerome Brown's a leader. Jerome Brown was my friend who was killed. He's not a black guy. And Quan, just for you, okay? I carry his palm around. I got to take a timeout. I hate that guy. Final hour of the program. Please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild days.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, Birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com. EAGLES, Eagles.
Red Sales National Football Show. Thank you all for coming aboard with us, man. I know you have all kinds of options out there. We so appreciate you doing this each and every single day. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. Seth Joyner will join us tomorrow at 2:30. Our good friend Tone is going to step in with us. Chris Sims is also going to join us. That'll be tomorrow, so we're really looking forward to that. I am going to get to some of the numbers and some of the potential guys that are going to be out there for trade. But I do want let me ask you this. I was asked this question today. Would you guys agree with me that the difference between Andy Reid and Bill Belichick is that Andy Reid evolves? Belichick doesn't. And that's why the game is passing him by. Or is it because he just has Patrick Mahomes and he fell into him? Or is it both? Hey, Maniac, wasn't he always a walrus? Hey, dude, the only thing Andy Reid needs with that big red jacket are ropes. And you could fly that guy in the Thanksgiving Day parade that Macy's puts on every year. Am I right? Maniac, you could see him floating down Madison Avenue at the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Day parade if you just put ropes on the guy. I mean, hasn't he always been like that? Hey, no disrespect, Andy, but if you put ropes on that jacket, Hoss, you're right up there with Bullwinkle. Hey, dude. He's right up there with Bullwinkle, man. And Snoopy, right? I don't know, man. He's right up there with them guys. Andy lost weight. Look at him 10 years ago. Andy lost weight. Okay. Hey, I guess the eye, it's in the eye of the beholder. Right? Andy Reid is showing. Now, it is both. I mean, how would he be doing what he's doing in Kansas City without Mahomes? Highly unlikely. Right? Highly unlikely. He's really a great coach. Another thing before we get onto these names as we get closer to the October 31st trading deadline. No Carson Wentz in the NFL yet. Has any quarterbacks been really injured outside of Carson Wentz? The kid Josh Dobbs has done a fabulous job in Arizona. Arizona made the right choice to stick with Dobbs. Has anybody been injured outside of Rodgers in Arizona? Not really. So Wentz is still not in the league. Do you think Carson Wentz gets in the National Football League by the end of the year? Dan, would you trade for Asante Samuel Jr.? What am I trading? What are you giving up for him? We're going to look at those names now. The further this goes on, the more it looks like Wentz. He's not getting back in the league unless there's some catastrophe somewhere. Boy, that guy's reputation. Now, again, wait a minute now. I want to do this. Are you sure it's what it is? The National Football League tried to put a reputation on Jaylen Carter. That he was a bad character guy. That's why he dropped to 10. When he was at the Combines, the NFL scouts were saying they're hearing character issues. Wasn't there a report by Adam Schefter that said that there were character issues? Or wasn't it, I forget who said, that publicly said that there were character issues that they were hearing. It's either Schefter or the other guy, Ian Rappaport, that there were character issues about Jaylen Carter, which I haven't seen yet. National Football League, through some of its whatever, tried to suggest that Jaylen Carter had bad character. No, he had a horrific moment. Guy had a horrific moment. I never said anything negative about Jaylen Carter. I'm the one that wanted to draft him. I told you, he was one of my 5 sandbox guys, along with Bijan. My 2 favorite players in the draft, that's not true, were Devin Witherspoon and Jaylen Carter. And I said the day he was drafted, and prior to that, all you have to do is look on our site. It's all posted. I said the day he was drafted, he's the next Jerome Brown. He has all the intangibles on being the best defensive tackle. I think I even said this, Tone, when they drafted him that day. We came back that Monday, and I said, by season's end, he could be the best defensive tackle in the NFC East. And there's quite a few good tackles in the East. Okay? Sileo is the last person that would ever bash Carter. He relates too much to the guy. You've had his back from the beginning. Absolutely. I had no issues with what happened in that unfortunate situation. I had no issues with it. 0. Okay? Because don't you remember? Seth Joyner and I jumped that media guy for saying that he didn't think he was sorry enough, according to his likings. QB characters judged to a higher standard. Very true, LJ. Remember when we got on him? And how that guy goes, you know, you don't really seem like you're too sorry. We were all like this. Well, who are you? He don't owe you anything. And you know what he's done? Since that day, he's done a great job at handling himself, not letting that Philadelphia media get to him. I guarantee the Eagles had a conversation. Bob Lang, guarantee you, had a conversation with that guy, or that guy's key fob would be taken from him. He ain't asking shit like that again. Not the way the Eagles handle themselves with the media in that market. They ain't going to ever let anybody talk like that to any of their players. And that's one of the only times I went, okay. Yeah, that Reuben Frank guy, you know he got a talking to. You're not gonna talk shit like that to a kid on his greatest day. I get it if maybe something happened again, but Reuben Frank attacked the kid for no reason. And it wasn't that because the kid was denying anything bad happened. It was that he didn't think he was sorry enough. Like he's some sort of psychologist. He's like Philadelphia sports psychologist for all you guys. He's not sorry enough. Like he knows better. I like to drug test that guy. Okay? It totally has been everything, and I hope he makes a Pro Bowl. Okay. So let's get into some of these names. And I brought some of these names up with Tone. Yeah, he wanted a hot take at the expense of the kid because he knew he could, rattle him because he's young. He's new in Philly. That's called taking advantage of him. That's when you deny access and accessibility to people like that because you don't allow that. If Jaylen Carter had gone out and he was going down Broad Street and he was drag racing, that's one thing. But the first day the kid, he don't even have a helmet yet. He don't even have a helmet yet. I don't really think you're sorry. I was like, what a tool. What an absolute tool. Reuben Frank. Holy cow. I guarantee he still does his column on a typewriter. All right, let's move on here. I'm sick of that guy. Potential trades. I talked a little bit of these names with Tone here. Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton. Do the Eagles need another wide receiver? I would say no to that. Even though I think Marshmallow Watkins is not the guy. I really love the dude from Atlanta. I think that guy should get more reps, and you need to take away Quz Watkins' reps. Quz Watkins, in my book, as we're getting in to the second quarter poll of the season, To me, in my opinion, I'm saying this to you. I want that guy's reps taken from him. Okay? I want his reps taken and given to him. He's earned it. I love what he was doing on that touchdown run for AJ. He has totally earned his playing time. Justin Simmons. What do you guys think? Safety. I'm going to get to all the names that from what I'm hearing, again, you guys know that I know a couple NFL head coaches who have been on this program, and they gave me a couple names that are guys that they're going to be floating around out there. Okay? What about Justin Simmons? Justin Simmons, safety. Justin Simmons. Let's put that name down. What would you be willing to give up for him? Remember something. The Broncos are a prime team because they're going to be 1-5 after Thursday night's game against Kansas City. And they're going to want to start selling everything off. What would you give up for him? How old is he? How old is Justin Simmons? A fourth? No way. That's going to have to be more. How old is Justin Simmons?
Justin Simmons is 29.
He's 29. Maybe a fourth is right. A fourth? He's 29 years old. A fourth? Whew. That's right up at would we agree? That's right up. That's right up Howie Roseman's alley there. That's in his ballpark. 29 years old, fourth rounder. Okay. Boy, I tell you what, you'd be really old in that back end, man, with the 30-year-old corners. Man, you'd be pretty old back there. Slot guys older. You'd be really old back there. You're going to have to completely revamp that thing. You know, your young guys haven't really gone in there yet, like Sidney Brown and them guys. Well, Reed Blankenship's back there. Fourth round, 20. Okay, I like that. Now here, I want to redress this thing. Would you give up for Patrick Surtain? A 1, which will most likely be between 29 and 32. Let's go there. 29 and 32. Almost at the beginning of the second round. Didn't the Broncos give up 70 points? We don't need them. Didn't you lose to the Commanders last year? Stop at that. Okay, so you don't want Patrick Surtain either. Holy cow. All right. You're going to probably have to give up for Patrick Surtain the 29th pick, a second rounder. Think about all those compensation picks you're getting too. I think you're going to have to give up the 29th pick, 2 seconds, and potentially a fourth for a 23-year-old all-pro corner who you won't find anybody in the draft with that high skill and that high talent. And on top of that, you're going to be able to have him on a rookie deal, and then you can franchise him if you had to for the next 3 years. And Howie has sucked at drafting corners. Too much for an all-pro corner that you're going to completely have to deal with. Okay? Yale goes, they're not traded. He doesn't have a say on where they're being traded. He doesn't have a say. I wouldn't give up those draft pick sales. Ibanez, he's a corner that could play there for 10 years. Okay? He could play 10 years there. Okay? Okay? He could play there 10 years. Okay. I'm going to have to take a time out here. Okay. So if we can, I'd appreciate it right now. Tone, I got to take a quick time out. Okay. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild days.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, Birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com. EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sills here. Hey, listen, guys, we have a little bit of an emergency here, and so we're going to have to sign off here till tomorrow. We appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. We got a little bit of an issue. Nothing to worry about. We thank you very much, and we will see you tomorrow. Hey, Tone, Xander, Joe, thank you guys a lot. I apologize for this. We will see you tomorrow, and we shall see you on the flip side.
Football and Hooters, the perfect